Introduction. Is what you say a form of enchantment, akin to a sprite? Perhaps so, replied Mingli, nodding thoughtfully. It dawned upon her that the nomenclature of pet sprites was indeed accurate. This world harbored true spirits. The white-haired figure with a broom-like hairstyle inquired, "What is this little creature's name?" Mingli responded, "Mischievous panda." Indeed, it is quite mischievous and undeniably resembles a panda. Pandas are delightful. Ha ha ha. The broomhead figure erupted into exaggerated laughter, seemingly reminiscing about a joyful memory. The mischievous panda, grasped by the nape of its neck, flailed its limbs in a futile attempt to swipe at the broomhead figure's face, but each time fell just short. Chapter 1. Celestial Projections. At that moment, the door to the hospital room swung open once more, and a cheerful voice resonated. "Ah Bang, you have finally awakened. You terrified me yesterday. Had it not been for the doctor's assurance that you are well, I would not have known how to explain to your late father." Upon seeing Uncle Da enter, Li Guobang smiled and replied, "I apologize for causing you worry, Uncle Da. However, the doctor just informed me that with a few more days of recuperation, I shall be discharged once my external injuries have had their stitches removed." After speaking, Li Guobang observed Uncle Da, noting his police uniform, with a hat tucked under his arm and a badge adorned with a crown upon his shoulder. It appeared he held the rank of inspector, prompting Li Guobang to invite him to sit. Upon hearing the news, Uncle Da expressed relief. "That is wonderful to hear. Ever since your injury and hospitalization, I have felt immense guilt for not taking better care of you. How exactly did the incident occur? Had it not been for the kind-hearted citizen who brought you to the hospital, I shudder to think what might have transpired. We examined your wounds and collected information at the scene. It appears you were engaged in a struggle, and the primary cause of your unconsciousness was due to a heavy blow to the head. Do you recall who attacked you? Please tell me, and I shall assist you in apprehending these ruffians." Upon hearing Uncle Da's inquiry, Li Guobang hesitated momentarily, memories flashing through his mind. Yet, he refrained from revealing the identity of his assailant, as he yearned to uncover the truth himself. Feigning a moment of forgetfulness, he replied, "That day, feeling bored after work, I went out for a stroll. Upon reaching a street corner, I heard cries for help. I thought, I'm a police officer, and rushed in. Inside, I found 3 individuals engaged in a brawl. I warned them of my authority, yet they disregarded me and charged at me instead. I found myself embroiled in the melee, and amidst the chaos, I was struck by something heavy on the head, causing me to lose consciousness. The subsequent events are rather unclear to me." Upon hearing his explanation, Uncle Da furrowed his brows and inquired, "Do you recall the appearances of those who assaulted you?" Never mind. Once you are discharged from the hospital, you can return to the police station to provide a statement, describing those rascals' appearances so we can piece together a composite sketch and perhaps apprehend them. That street belongs to the territory of Hitai and Yisheng, and upon my return to the station, I shall relay the matter, requesting them to come in for discussion. It is utterly unacceptable to allow this gang to operate without consequence for such an extended period. Very well, you should rest for now. I shan't visit you in the coming days. Once you are well enough to leave, I shall come to escort you home." Li Guobang nodded in silence, contemplating that his little lie would lead to a crackdown on the gang, and he would have to extend his apologies to the innocent parties involved. He was deeply touched by Uncle Da's fatherly concern. As Uncle Da prepared to exit, Li Guobang sincerely expressed, "Uncle Da, thank you." Uncle Da, taken aback by Li Guobang's unexpected gratitude, replied, "This child, what nonsense is this?" And he shook his head as he departed. Thus, after 4 days of recuperation in the hospital, Li Guobang could no longer endure the confinement and requested to be discharged. After the stitches were removed, the doctor advised him to return for a follow-up examination in 2 weeks. He then boarded Uncle Da's car, ready to return home. However, Uncle Da insisted on taking him to their home, as he had arranged for Aunt May to prepare dinner to celebrate his discharge. Initially, Li Guobang considered declining the invitation, but Uncle Da seemed to perceive his hesitation and promptly interjected, "Bang, please do not refuse me. I am aware that you wish to spare me any discomfort, but today is your discharge day, and I have already assured Aunt May that she will not put you in a difficult position." With a resigned smile, Li Guobang replied, "Uncle Da, I truly do not understand why Aunt May harbors discontent regarding my engagement with Sherwin. Why not dissolve it? You must realize that it does not bother me in the least. Moreover, Aunt May is correct beyond the apartment left to me by my parents. I possess nothing. Even my current job has stabilized only through your assistance. My father has been gone for such a long time, even if he were alive, he would surely not mind. This truly places you in a challenging position. Uncle Duh, however, did not take his words to heart. While driving, he playfully tapped Li Guobang on the head, saying, "What nonsense are you conjuring? Moreover, what does she know? We men must honor our words of promise is a bond, and we must fulfill it. Besides, had your father not shielded me from a bullet, he would not have suffered such fatal injuries, leaving you all alone. I owe your father a debt of life. Furthermore, you have grown under my watchful eye, and I am well aware of your character. That girl, sure one, has been spoiled by her mother. She hardly listens to my words, yet she responds to your guidance. Look at the two of you, it is a perfect match." Upon hearing Uncle Duh's words, Li Guobang responded, "Uncle Duh, you are simply unaware of how I managed to keep Sherwin in line. Were you to know, I fear you might be quite furious with me." Uncle Duh seemed reluctant to delve deeply into the matter, casually remarking, "All right, just consider it as my desire not to let the fruits of my labor benefit outsiders. It is far better to entrust your poetry to a familiar friend rather than a stranger." Li Guobang sought to negotiate further. "No, Uncle Duh, my relationship with poetry is not as amicable as you might presume. You have no idea how much she detests me. Thus, I believe it would be prudent to wait for her return from England and seek her opinion before proceeding." With a wave of his hand, Uncle Duh decisively stated, "Enough of this. This matter is settled. You are both still young, emotions can be nurtured gradually. When we return home, just read my expressions and act accordingly. I shall handle the rest." Resigned, Li Guobang shrugged and gazed out the window, observing the scenes of Hong Kong in 1978. Along their journey, he noted the juxtaposition of towering skyscrapers and modest dwellings. Pedestrians hurried past, while double-decker buses and trams clanged rhythmically in their passage. The men on the streets predominantly wore floral shirts, flared trousers, sunglasses, and sported shoulder-length hair. The women mostly donned white blouses with long skirts and sandals, embodying the development trends of mainland China in the late 1980s and early 1990s. After a while, Uncle Duh parked the car in the building's garage and accompanied Li Guobang into the elevator. Upon reaching home, Uncle Duh opened the door and called into the kitchen, "Ame, Abang and I are back." Moments later, a middle-aged woman emerged from the kitchen, dressed in the attire of a homemaker, sporting slippers and a fitted qipao. She glanced at Li Guobang and lightly huffed. "Out of the hospital?" He quickly replied, "Yes, indeed, Ame. I'm fully recovered now. I truly appreciate the concern you and Uncle Duh have shown during this time." However, Ame did not accept his gratitude graciously. "It's good to know. I may not have worried excessively, but that old fool has been fretting over you like a son." Hearing Ame's sarcasm, Uncle Duh merely chuckled. "All right, enough of that. It's a relief that Abang has been discharged. Let's not engage in such banter. Both of us are quite hungry. If dinner is ready, let us begin." At Uncle Duh's words, Ame, somewhat displeased, huffed again. "Very well, we shall wait for you to serve the rice." She then led them to the dining area, where a spread of 4 dishes and soup awaited. As Ame prepared to serve the rice, Li Guobang quickly interjected, "Ame, allow me to assist. Thank you for preparing such a delightful meal for me. I truly appreciate your efforts." In response to his gratitude, Ame shot him a sidelong glance. "Oh, it is indeed exhausting. You see, I have cut my fingers while preparing your food, and my face has been scorched by oil." With that, she displayed her injured finger to both him and Uncle Duh. Uncle Duh accepted the bowl of rice Li Guobang offered and remarked, "Oh dear, it's just a minor injury, isn't it? A simple bandage will suffice. If need be, I can take you to the hospital later. Now, let us eat. You remember your promise from yesterday." Upon hearing Uncle Duh's complaints, Aunt May shot a piercing glare at Li Guobang and declared, "Humph, I shall let you off the hook for today." With that, she picked up her chopsticks and began her meal. Chapter 2. The Barbarism of the Far East. Su Shi, fearing that General Jimmy might return, lingered at the spot for a while. Realizing there were no signs of his return, she slipped into the study. The study was cluttered and shrouded in darkness. For some inexplicable reason, it evoked a sense of foreboding within Su Shi. Yet, guided by her innate intuition, she surprisingly uncovered several letters exchanged between the Deng family and outsiders. At first glance, these letters appeared innocuous, but after a moment's contemplation, Su Shi's expression grew solemn. "Huh," she scoffed derisively. "I have indeed stumbled upon some clues." The letters contained vague references, yet they revealed certain insights to Su Shi. Indeed, her body and mind had developed a natural sensitivity to such information. However, Su Shi sensed that this study was far from ordinary. Relying not solely on her instincts, she recalled that in her past life, countless dramas depicted secret chambers hidden within studies, a trope not uncommon. Thus, she selected a letter that was neither too revealing nor too obscure, and began her search for secret mechanisms within the study. To her astonishment, she succeeded. The contents of the study could only be described as nearly blinding to her eyes. Massive chests filled with gold, and in the corner, several boxes brimming with jewels, bestowed an air of opulence to this dimly lit chamber. With a sigh of disdain for the gold and jewels, Sushi turned her attention elsewhere. There must be something of greater significance hidden within. In her contemplation, she noticed a small black box, seemingly covered in dust, tucked away in the corner. Furrowing her brow, she approached and ultimately retrieved the box. Upon opening it, she discovered yet more letters. However, the contents of these letters were evidently of a different caliber altogether. Woohoo! Such brazen dialogues left she in awe of the boldness of the Deng family. TSK. Desiring to discreetly abscond with one of the letters, Sushi hesitated, feeling it inappropriate. Ultimately, she left the original letter behind. Fortunately, there was ample ink and paper available. Sushi meticulously imitated the handwriting, copying the 2 letters she had taken. Then, she returned the copies to their envelopes, absconding with the originals. After meticulously ensuring that everything was placed exactly as it had been, Sushi departed from the Deng residence. Once she had distanced herself, she finally exhaled in relief. The Deng family, for both personal and public reasons, could not be allowed to remain. However, Sushi did not anticipate that the Deng family, in their audacity, had not arranged for any guards to watch over the study. Was this a display of hubris, or an unwavering confidence that no one would uncover their clandestine dealings? Lost in such thoughts, Sushi fell into contemplation. What have you discovered? A cold and somber voice interrupted, instantly snapping Sushi back to reality. It was General Jimmy. Why hasn't the general returned? Sushi offered a forced smile toward General Jimmy, then discreetly took a step back. This individual emanated an aura of danger. It felt as though he could see right through her. Yet, he also evoked a peculiar curiosity within her, making her yearn to unmask the facade he wore. However, lacking certainty of success, Sushi would not attempt a second strike. While on night duty, one naturally cannot return so early, General Jimmy replied nonchalantly. I shall return only at the dawn handover. Sushi responded with a simple "Oh, have you discovered anything?" General Jimmy inquired once more. Sushi regarded him with a peculiar glance. Then, with a hint of wariness, replied, General Jimmy, do you wish for me to uncover something, or do you prefer that I remain oblivious? Her question was artfully phrased. Unaware of the other party's true intentions, Sushi would not divulge her findings. This matter would be communicated to General Du. However, if she managed to thwart the marriage between the 2 families, she would hasten back to Shengjing at the earliest opportunity. Naturally, I would prefer you discover nothing, General Jimmy stated with calm assurance. If nothing is found, it implies that the Northwest remains relatively stable. His words clearly expressed his stance. Sushi smiled, her gaze shimmering with insight, and subtly revealed, due to time constraints, I have not uncovered certain details regarding Deng Qingfeng, yet I did stumble upon some unsavory dealings of the Deng family. With that, she swiftly departed while General Jimmy was momentarily taken aback. However, instead of returning directly, Sushi sought out a late-night food stall and ordered a bowl of wontons. Having been preoccupied with Du Jingsa, she had left without even tasting the pastries. Was she not hungry now? To her delight, the wontons were quite delectable. After consuming 2 wontons, another patron took a seat beside her and ordered 1 bowl of wontons, mildly spicy. Certainly, Sushi found the voice somewhat familiar, but could not quite place it. When she looked up, she was met with the masked visage of General Jimmy. Suonfe. Well, that explained the familiarity. Quite the coincidence, she remarked with a smile that did not reach her eyes, a terse greeting before returning to her wontons. General Jimmy chuckled softly and replied, Indeed, it is quite coincidental. His pursuit was hardly a matter of chance. Although Sushi possessed commendable skills, in this Northwest region, she was but one individual. Should she encounter any true trouble, it would undoubtedly be a challenge to extricate herself. With this thought, he hastened to catch up. Feeling a bit peckish, he decided to grab a bite. After finishing the wontons, he inquired, How much, my good sir? 3 copper coins, came the reply. As soon as the words left the vendor's lips, General Jimmy handed over 6 copper coins, and then turned to Sushi, saying, Come, allow me to escort you home. Sushi was taken aback. What is this strange turn of events? However, she politely declined the general's offer. No need, I can return on my own. Yet, There lingered an inexplicable sense of familiarity about the situation, which felt rather eerie. Miss Su, you are a distinguished guest from Shengjing. Should anything untoward occur in the Northwest, it would be a burden none of U.S. could bear, General Jimai stated with utmost seriousness. To avoid any delays, allow this. General, to see you home. Upon hearing this, Sushi found it difficult to refuse again. Very well. I shall send you a box of Scar Remedy as a token of my gratitude. The corners of General Jimai's lips twitched as he was tempted to decline. However, he ultimately settled for 3 words, thank you. The general accompanied Su-Shi to the front gate of the Du residence. After bidding farewell, she chose not to disturb the doorman, instead quietly slipping into a secluded corner, and with a graceful leap, she returned to Du Jingza's courtyard. Du Jingza was still in a deep slumber, and Sushi let out a sigh of relief, stifled a yawn, and settled back down to sleep. Chapter 3. The chaotic world observing the performance of the chubby boy. Yunlu gently pulled him aside to allow him to gradually refine his energy. He then addressed his junior sister, Dongfang. Dongfang, why not give it a try? Your profound mastery of water techniques might just unravel this formation. After speaking, he stepped aside and feigned a probing gesture. As Yunlu heightened his senses, he indeed detected a formidable aura lurking within the thickets, now approaching the lakeside. Dongfang, after her investigation, found no results, but Yuju seized the opportunity to absorb a considerable amount of the ethereal water essence, even drawing in some of the lake water infused with celestial energy. Dongfang Xian moved closer to Bai Yulu and whispered about Yuju's peculiar nature, explaining that the absorption of the water spirit was intended to mend the fissures within Yuju herself. Just as they were conversing, a brilliant light suddenly erupted before them. They beheld Xia Chaoyang pressing his hand against a piece of bluestone, which unexpectedly cracked open, the fissures widening, with a kaleidoscope of colors emanating from within. I haven't done anything yet. I merely probed with my true energy, Xia Chaoyang exclaimed in astonishment. As he spoke, the bluestone fragments scattered, revealing a translucent orb of water that did not dissolve in the lake. Within this orb resided a resplendent pink celestial lotus, radiating dazzling multicolored light. Bai Yunlu was taken aback that Xia Shimi had inexplicably dispelled the formation, but now was not the time for contemplation. With a flicker of his consciousness, he swiftly activated a protective formation beneath his feet. The ominous aura on the shore seemed to hesitate momentarily before revealing its form by the lakeside. An elderly man, with a gaunt visage clad in black, fixed his cold, hollow gaze upon the lake's depths. He spoke in a chilling tone, a bunch of youngsters from the academy. Yet you possess such fortune. I have toiled for this treasure. How can I allow you to reap the benefits so easily? You mere fledglings, though you possess numerous treasures, have waited for years, and today, I shall finally reap my rewards. While the 4 were momentarily dazed, the lotus trembled, absorbing the majority of the celestial water within its petals, while the remaining fraction was entirely consumed by Yuju. The radiant light of the lotus flashed and advanced towards the 4, first arriving before Bai Yunlu, gently rotating in the air, as if sensing a familiar essence. The celestial lotus hesitated, prompting Bai Yunlu to take a step back, followed by the chubby boy. The lotus, seemingly perceiving disdain, pivoted and floated before Dongfang Xian, appearing quite satisfied with her aura, its petals fluttering slightly. In that moment, the central petal of the lotus slightly parted, releasing a beam of light that transformed into a lotus seed, which directly embedded itself into Dongfang's brow. As everyone stood in astonishment, the multicolored light of the lotus swiftly condensed into a mark that vanished into Xia Chaoyang's brow. Xia Chaoyang's expression froze in shock before he could utter a word. He fainted, yet the lotus mark on his brow flickered in and out of visibility. The chubby boy conjured a wall of sand, while Dongfang Xian hurriedly supported Xia Shimi, allowing her to lean against the sandy barrier. A brief examination by Yunlu revealed that Xia Shimi was likely unharmed. Her consciousness had entered the sea of awareness to refine the celestial lotus, allowing him to finally breathe a sigh of relief. At that moment, a sudden, brief howl of a wolf echoed from the lakeshore. Bai Yunlu instantly sensed the impending danger and swung his sword backward. With a resounding crash, the sword aura struck a crimson light, severing it, and Bai Yunlu staggered back several steps, nearly spewing forth blood. Fortunately, the lingering essence of the celestial wood in the lake allowed him to recover some of his injuries almost immediately. In a flash, Bai Yunlu positioned himself in front of several individuals, deftly gathering the scattered pieces of blue stone into his consciousness barrier. In the blink of an eye, a gaunt elder appeared before them, wielding a large, crimson sword. The elder coldly regarded the deep pit behind the group, which was now devoid of any remnants. His lips twitched in irritation, In just a few breaths, such a substantial piece of blue stone had been completely consumed by these youngsters. Anger surged within him. Yet he managed to suppress it, forcing a semblance of a smile as he spoke. Young friends, upon your arrival at this misty oasis, you have taken my treasures. Is it not a tad inconsiderate? Observing the elder's demeanor, Bai Yunlu silently mused that the elder was quite shameless, boldly claiming ownership over something he could not breach. Nevertheless, given the elder's golden core strength, caution was paramount. With Master Xia yet to arrive, he needed to delay the situation. Glancing at the elder's crimson sword, Bai Yunlu seemingly resignedly retrieved several pieces of blue stone from his consciousness, stacking them aside. With great respect, he addressed the elder. Senior, are these the stones you seek? Previously, that beast attacked us twice, and we believed it to be its lair, so we dismantled it. If you desire these blue stones, please take them. The elder's eyes widened in fury. Certainly not these blue stones. Before he could finish his sentence, Bai Yunlu had already reclaimed the pile of blue stones back into his consciousness barrier. The elder was momentarily taken aback, momentarily forgetting his words, though his anger was steadily escalating. Looking around, Bai Yunlu continued, Senior, that dragon-like beast was quite formidable. I wonder if there is a second one. Having resided in the misty oasis for quite some time, do you know of any peculiarities within this oasis? The withered elder, observing the few young ones with merely chi condensation cultivation, surmised they were as defenseless as fish on a chopping board. It would be prudent to ascertain their intentions before taking action. He casually replied, there is only one such beast. It typically conceals itself in the lake, and the water possesses healing properties, making it difficult to slay. I am curious, what brings you young friends to this misty oasis? Bai Yunlu responded nonchalantly. We are students from the New Lu Academy, having traveled thousands of miles to explore the desert oasis and to investigate the whereabouts of a senior from our academy. No sooner had he spoken than he sensed a surge of powerful killing intent rising before him. Bai Yunlu inwardly thought, could it be that my casual remark struck a nerve? Is this elder perhaps an enemy of the academy? With this thought, he glanced at his junior sister Dongfang, who promptly stepped closer, positioning herself for optimal collaboration. Both activated their true energy, bracing for any unforeseen developments. Indeed, the gaunt elder erupted into a maniacal laugh, his visage transforming into a terrifying countenance. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Bai Yunlu summoned the jade from the depths of the lake, effortlessly raising it above the water's surface without causing a ripple of spiritual energy. During the last encounter when he had wielded the sword to slay the giant scorpion, Bai Yunlu had conceived the idea of substituting the dragon scale sword with jade. The jade was remarkably resilient, devoid of any magical fluctuations, making it difficult to detect. Moreover, employing innate energy to manipulate the jade would significantly enhance its power, potentially yielding surprising results against formidable opponents. After the desiccated elder's boisterous laughter subsided, he pointed his sword at the group, his expression menacing as he declared, You young ones in the chi condensation stage dare to traverse the desert? Today, I shall impart a lesson upon you. His gaze fell upon the young woman, Ziwen, as he commanded, that jade pendant on your wrist, throw it to me. He then addressed the taciturn young man. You there, relinquish your spatial treasures. The girl behind you seems to have encountered great fortune. You all will turn over your possessions to me, ha ha ha. The chubby youth was taken aback, feeling a deep sense of disdain at such condescension. Chapter 4. Sisters in Bloom. As night descended, the stars twinkled overhead. Ling Yu sat alone at the cave entrance, boredom prompting her to hum a folk tune. After completing her melody, a man approached her leisurely. Mo Yun's naturally settled beside her and, feigning casualness, inquired, Miss Ling, are you familiar with the folk songs of Qianyu City? Qianyu City as folk songs? Ling Yu realized only then that the tune was indeed from that city. Yes. This melody is well known among the inhabitants of Qianyu City, young and old alike. She had not heard it elsewhere, yet she could sing it effortlessly. Could it be that she once hailed from Qianyu City? Ling Yu found this possibility compelling, especially since she had lost all memories of her past and was unaware of her true identity. Li Jinheng claimed she had grown up by his side, but she found little credibility in his words. Mo Yushin asked, where is your hometown, Miss Ling? A small fishing village to the north of the city, nothing noteworthy. She replied, oh, to the north, is it? The man mused thoughtfully. Ling Yu narrowed her beautiful eyes, a teasing smile gracing her lips. It seems that young Master Mo is quite invested in my affairs. This was not the first time he had subtly probed into her personal matters. I am merely curious about the environment in which a woman like you was raised. If I have overstepped, I apologize. Ling Yu waved her hand dismissively. No need. I am not worthy of young Master Mo's apology. The man smiled faintly and said, from now on, call me Yunshin. Ling Yu replied, it seems we are not that familiar. You will become familiar. Mo Yunshin smiled at her, his exquisite features illuminated by the moonlight and starlight, appearing even more profound and captivating. In that moment, both fell into a sudden silence, with only the roaring waves of the sea filling the air. Lingyu gazed intently at the man before her. As time stretched on and their eyes locked longer, she found him inexplicably familiar, especially the tenderness in his gaze. Akin to a gentle spring, made her heart skip a beat. How peculiar it was. Why did he regard her with such eyes? Yunshin, Lear is calling for you. The sudden voice of the man behind them interrupted the intimate atmosphere between the two. Understood. Mo Yunshin rose slowly, casting a smile at Lingyu as he departed, reminding her to take a rest. As he turned to enter the cave, he brushed past Fu Chi-han, catching a glimpse of his dangerous gaze. Upon stepping into the cave, Mo Yunshin spotted the girl peacefully sleeping on the banana leaves beside the fire. Wasn't Lear looking for him? He tiptoed closer, settling down beside the slumbering girl and gently lifting one side of her body to rest on his lap. Gazing at her serene sleeping face, he experienced a fleeting moment of reverie, pondering whether he would ever have the chance to quietly observe her like this again. Are you feeling better? Fu Chi-han draped his coat over the woman and sat beside her, removing his mask. Lingyu stiffened at the man's intimate gesture. After a brief pause in the atmosphere, she finally spoke softly. Yes, much better. However, throughout their exchange, she never once met his gaze, instead fixating on a fallen leaf on the ground. The man leaned closer, whispering in her ear, I apologize. Lingyu, bewildered, lifted her eyes to Fu Chi-han. Her expression filled with confusion. Why was he apologizing to her? I had an unpleasant demeanor in the woods earlier. Fu Chi-han could not bear the thought of having spoken harshly to her, regretting it now. Lingyu pondered for a moment before replying earnestly, My lord, you did nothing wrong. There is no need for an apology. Besides, you carried me back from the woods. If anything, I owe you. Propping his head with one hand, Fu Chi-han glanced sideways at her. Since you say you owe me, how do you intend to repay it? Have I not already repaid you? Lingyu responded with an incredulous expression. Fu Chi-han paused for 2 seconds, then quickly realized, was it those 2 wild fruits? What else could it be? Her tone and demeanor conveyed an unmistakable sense of entitlement. All right, as long as you are happy. He initially believed they could move past this topic, but to his surprise, he heard her continue. Then what else would you like as repayment? Fu Chi-han, of course, would not let this rare opportunity slip away. A playful smile spread across his refined features as he jested. How about offering yourself in return? Let us skip that. Lingyu's expression shifted instantly, her tone turning cold. I was merely joking. Fu Chi-han playfully poked her waist. Hey, what are you doing? She exclaimed in surprise. This startled not only Fu Chi-han but also Lingyu herself. Did that sound just now truly come from her? How could it be so charming? As if she were deliberately trying to act coy with the man. With a hint of inscrutable amusement gleaming in Fu Chi-han's eyes, he curved his lips into a smile, the deep green of his gaze reflecting the woman's ethereal beauty under the hazy moonlight. So, you were ticklish after all? His expression resembled that of a discoverer unveiling a new land. Aren't you afraid? Lingyu's tone bore an undercurrent of dissatisfaction towards the man. Try it, he replied generously, opening his arms wide, exuding a boldness that suggested he would allow her to do as she pleased. Who would want to touch you? Lingyu shot him a disdainful glance. Yet despite her prideful turning away, she could not suppress the slight upward curve of her lips. What a pity. Fu Chi-han adjusted his posture, resting his arms behind him. From this vantage point, he could better admire the dazzling tapestry of stars above. He slightly tilted his head, gazing at the flawless profile of the woman beside him, softly sighing, so beautiful. Indeed, so beautiful. Lingyu tilted her face upwards, her eyes entranced by the celestial display, allowing herself to be enveloped in the dreamlike beauty of the scene, utterly unaware that the man's thoughts diverged from her own. Lingyu, I wish to kiss you. Upon hearing her name suddenly called, Lingyu turned, her delicate brows arching. What did you just say? I want. Fu Chi-han sat up straight, his expression earnest as he looked at the bewildered woman before him. Lingyu's confusion stemmed not from his vague statement, but rather from his unwavering gaze fixed upon her lips. That gaze was too direct and fervent, imbued with palpable desire, rendering it impossible for Lingyu to ignore. Let me ask you a question. Are you asking me? Not kissing you? Only then did Lingyu realize her misunderstanding, a wave of embarrassment washing over her. Fortunately, it was nighttime, and the dimness obscured her unusual reaction from the man. Yet, something felt amiss. His earlier gaze was unmistakably. Chapter 5, The Eye of Truth. What? In a moment, the dissonance between the unfolding narrative and her expectations left Fu Yishuan momentarily stunned. She could not comprehend the man's demeanor. Shouldn't he, a normal person, be angry? Why did he appear so pleased? At that moment, the deviation from the anticipated plot instilled a profound sense of frustration within Fu Yishuan. In her mind, upon hearing her words, Zheng Lin should be irate, which would allow her to have Yifeng give him a good thrashing. Zheng Lin, entirely unaware of Fu Yishuan's intentions, felt a surge of joy upon realizing that her thoughts aligned with his. He then removed the cloth bag from his shoulder, prompting Yifeng's attention to the sight of a 3-section staff within. It looked like an ordinary stick, yet it carried an air of remarkable distinction. The young man rummaged through the bag until he unearthed a somewhat aged piece of paper. This was no ordinary sheet. It was a marriage contract. The very agreement once forged between Fu Han and Yin Ning's predecessor. It appears that the arrangement of this childhood betrothal was conducted with great formality, complete with a written marriage contract. Were this in earlier times, Fu Yishuan and Zheng Lin could indeed be considered legally wed. Zheng Lin produced the marriage document and, with a serious expression, stated, "This is what was established between our families. I have come here to propose to you. However, I share Miss Fu's sentiments regarding this matter, and I find such actions utterly absurd." Strangely, upon hearing his words, Fu Yishuan felt a flicker of disappointment within her. And then, Fu Yishuan inquired, "Then, I have no intention of urging you to fulfill the agreement. I am primarily here to annul the engagement." An annulment? Fu Yishuan's heart skipped a beat. Unbeknownst to her, Zhang Lin remained oblivious to her feelings and retrieved an ancient pen from his bag, saying, "Miss Fu, when our families made this arrangement, it was also stipulated that the final decision rests upon our mutual consent. If either of us is unwilling, then the matter should be dismissed. I was concerned you might object, but it seems I was mistaken. Therefore, please mark your consent here. I have already done so." With that, Zheng Lin eagerly extended the pen towards Fu Yishuan. At that moment, Fu Yishuan's mind was in a whirl, her emotions exceedingly complex, leaving her at a loss for words. Despite her initial resistance to the engagement and her efforts to dissolve it, she found herself unexpectedly reluctant at the prospect of Zheng Lin fulfilling her wish to annul it. Zheng Lin's countenance remained imbued with a gentle, sunny smile, his dark eyes glimmering with a hint of anticipation. "Miss Fu?" Noticing her inaction, Zheng Lin's expression shifted to one of urgency. "Don't hesitate. Isn't this what you desired?" Yifeng chimed in, his concern evident. He was bewildered by her hesitation at such a critical moment. In frustration, he took the pen from Zheng Lin's hand and pressed it into Fu Yishuan's palm, exclaiming, "Stop dawdling and sign already. Your sister Yuhan is waiting for me." Perhaps Yifeng's insistence had an effect, as Fu Yishuan, in a daze, scrawled her name. "Miss Fu, don't forget to mark an X," Zheng Lin reminded her at the opportune moment. Fu Yishuan, still in a haze, made the mark. Zheng Lin then reclaimed the pen, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Miss Fu, I am immensely grateful. As of today, the previous agreement is rendered void. Additionally, please extend my regards to Uncle Fu and the others. I have matters to attend to, so I shall not impose further. I will certainly visit at a later opportunity." With those words, Zheng Lin swiftly gathered his belongings, waved goodbye to Yifeng and the others, and promptly departed. Yifeng gazed at Zheng Lin's departing figure, a flicker of intrigue glimmering in his eyes. Beside him, Fu Yishuan appeared oblivious, still enveloped in a daze. It was only after Zhang Lin's silhouette vanished completely that Fu Yishuan seemed to regain her senses. "Damn it!" she exclaimed in frustration, hurling her coffee cup across the room. "What on earth is wrong with you, my dear aunt?" Yifeng sighed, especially when he noticed the patrons in the CAF turning to stare. He felt a strong urge to leave. Fu Yishuan's face flushed with anger as she declared, "That scoundrel dared to come over and call off the engagement. Does he think so little of me, Fu Yishuan? Isn't this what you wanted? I truly don't understand your thoughts." She huffed, her fists clenched tightly. "If anyone is to call off the engagement, it should be me. Why should he have the audacity to say it first?" Yifeng found himself utterly perplexed by Fu Yishuan's reasoning. However, a different thought suddenly crossed his mind. Considering her reaction, could it be that this girl had developed some affection for Zheng Lin? It was indeed a possibility. Love at first sight was not an uncommon phenomenon. Moreover, Fu Yishuan had a history. She had once insisted on marrying him before they had even met. Yet, regardless of Fu Yishuan's feelings, Yifeng was indifferent. He had neither the interest nor the energy to concern himself with the emotional tribulations of a young girl. To be candid, he found Zheng Lin far more intriguing than Fu Yishuan. "Well, the matter has been resolved. I shall take my leave," he said, bidding farewell to Fu Yishuan as he made his way towards the exit. "Are you leaving too? Just like that scoundrel? Why stay? I certainly do not have your luxury of time," Yifeng murmured before pushing the door open and stepping outside. Inside the CAF, Fu Yishuan felt a heaviness in her heart, her lovely face flushed with fury. "Humph, all men are scoundrels." At that moment, a lecherous middle-aged man approached with a smirk. "My dear, Since those two lack appreciation for beauty, why not join me instead? Fu Yixuan turned to face him, feeling a wave of revulsion. She raised her hand and delivered a resounding slap. Take a look in the mirror and know your place. Now get lost. The man, seething with anger, retorted. You dare strike me? Do you have any idea who I am? Just then, a waitress rushed over and addressed the man. First, we do not tolerate disturbances here. Second, while I may not be familiar with your identity, I am well aware of this lady's status. She is the daughter of the esteemed Fu family. What? Fu family? The man's expression shifted dramatically, cold sweat breaking out as realization dawned on him. Indeed, the Fu family. Chapter 6. Cao confronted with the relentless assaults of three formidable foes. Lin Chen had his strategies in place. Gojo concealed himself among numerous mud figurines, leaving Lin Chen temporarily at a disadvantage. However, allowing such a powerful adversary to draw near was undeniably perilous. Thus, Lin Chen was compelled to temporarily confine his opponent. At that moment, he summoned 5 treasured swords, which swiftly formed a marvelous grand array. This marked Lin Chen's inaugural use of the 5-sword formation, as the swords encircled the clay figurines, creating an immense barrier. Any clay figure that dared approach this circle would be instantly obliterated. Consequently, Gojo found himself in a predicament, unable to advance or retreat. However, this confinement of Gojo was merely temporary. Lin Chen needed to resolve the threats posed by Zhen Xiong and Gao Bang within a brief span of time. Therefore, Lin Chen promptly unleashed the ethereal images of the dragon and phoenix, directing them to assault Zhen Xiong and his spectral warriors. The incessant tolling of Zhen Xiong's bell was exceedingly bothersome and had to be addressed first. The golden dragon opened its mighty jaws, lunging towards the warriors, who raised their massive hammers to strike at the dragon's crown. In response, the dragon deftly pivoted, expelling a colossal sphere of water towards the warriors. At that moment, the relentless barrage of water spheres forced the warriors to retreat repeatedly. Meanwhile, the fire phoenix unleashed a torrent of blazing flames towards Zhen Xiong, who conjured a golden wall to impede the inferno. Subsequently, Zhen Xiong wielded his 9-section whip, thrusting it at the fire phoenix. Observing this, the fire phoenix soared upward, evading Zhen Xiong's attack, and with a powerful flap of its wings, shattered the golden wall. Though Lin Chen's battle with Zhen Xiong remained intensely contested, the true source of his frustration lay in his confrontation with Gao Bang. Gao Bang continuously maneuvered around Lin Chen, intermittently striking with his fire cloud staff. At this juncture, Lin Chen found himself unable to perceive the staff's approach, its swiftness rendering it nearly undetectable until it was already upon him. Through the ensuing clash, Lin Chen found himself in a most precarious position. His focus was divided. On one hand, he had to maintain the 5-sword formation to restrain Gojo, while on the other, he was engaged in combat with Zhen Xiong using the dragon and phoenix. This left him with little energy to counter Gao Bang's relentless assaults. Suddenly, a staff struck toward him, and Lin Chen attempted to block it with his bare hands. However, Gao Bang was exceedingly agile, retracting the staff with finesse just as Lin Chen made his move, leaving Lin Chen grasping at air. Gao Bang then swiftly thrust the staff, landing a direct blow to Lin Chen's abdomen. Reeling from the impact, Lin Chen involuntarily staggered back, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Gao Bang, observing that Lin Chen's cultivation had indeed improved significantly, yet still deemed him feeble, mockingly stroked his bald head and taunted, "Is this all you can muster, Lin Chen? You can't even withstand a single strike from me. It would be wise to surrender." Lin Chen, feeling the weight of urgency, realized that both the 5-sword formation and the ethereal images were immensely taxing. His simultaneous engagements had depleted his inner energy at an alarming rate. Aware of the escalating danger, he understood that he needed to conclude the battle swiftly. Protracting it would be perilous. Yet, he remained eager to capture Gao Bang. The latter's movements were elusive, almost as if he possessed the ability to teleport, rendering Lin Chen's attempts to lock onto him futile. The more Lin Chen struggled to seize him, the more determined he became. He knew that despite Gao Bang's unpredictable maneuvers, he would never part from his staff. Thus, seizing the staff would lead to capturing Gao Bang. However, grasping the fire cloud staff proved to be a formidable challenge, as discerning its position through mere auditory cues became increasingly difficult. In this moment of uncertainty, Lin Chen resolved to rely on instinct alone. The phenomenon appeared exceedingly enigmatic to Lin Chen, who once held skepticism towards such methods of discerning reality. However, since embarking on the cultivation of the Wuji Classic, he has grown increasingly convinced of the potency of intuition. To harness the power of tenfold strength, Lin Chen must delve into a delicate state, a venture reliant upon the exploration of his own sensations. He endeavored to calm his mind, gradually regulating his breath, Although enveloped in darkness, his heart radiated clarity. Despite his ignorance of the external world specifics, he had already sketched an internal image. Lin Shen once again entered that extraordinary state where all illusions faded into obscurity. In this moment, he distinctly sensed a fiery rod hurtling towards him, perceiving its trajectory, velocity, and weight. Indeed, the rod descended with a fierce intensity, seemingly poised to shatter Lin Shen's skull. Yet, in the final instant, he seized the rod with remarkable swiftness. How could this be? How had Lin Shen managed to grasp the rod? Before Gao Bang could ponder further, Lin Shen wielded the rod, launching a kick at him. Gao Bang attempted to block with his leg, only to find Lin Shen's kick astonishingly powerful, causing a sensation akin to his calf threatening to split. At that moment, Lin Shen executed another kick. Gao Bang, unable to withstand the force, retreated. Yet again, he found himself at the rod's end, with no avenue for retreat. This time, Lin Shen would not allow him to activate his teleportation abilities. With a binding technique, he immobilized Gao Bang. The would-be escapee suddenly felt his body unresponsive, rendered motionless for a fleeting second. Victory often hinges on such brief moments. Without hesitation, Lin Shen delivered a flying dragon kick directly to Gao Bang's chest, sending him crashing against the mountainside. Before Gao Bang could muster any reaction, Lin Shen hurled the rod, which, infused with surging vital energy, pierced through Gao Bang's heart, pinning him firmly to the wall. In an instant, Lin Shen had dispatched Gao Bang, leaving Zhen Xiong and Gojo utterly astonished. Witnessing this, Gojo's resolve hardened. He had to shatter the accursed sword formation immediately. With a surge of his vital energy, 9 clay figures converged upon him, transforming him into a colossal figure shrouded in mud. Lin Shen sensed the formidable power emanating from Gojo's transformation, yet he resolved to first subdue Zhen Xiong. Indeed, the might of Lin Shen's phantom golden dragon far surpassed Zhen Xiong's warriors. In mere moments, the golden dragon dispatched the warriors with ease. However, the fire phoenix was less fortunate. In a clash against its corporeal counterpart, it suffered greatly. Zhen Xiong's 9-section whip pierced the fire phoenix's form, causing the phantom to vanish in an instant. The dissolution of his phantom inflicted considerable damage upon Lin Shen, yet he could afford no distraction. At that juncture, he attained his desired state, channeling double the strength to render the golden dragon even more tangible. Subsequently, he employed the Yin Long Ju, summoning another phantom golden dragon. The 2 golden dragons intertwined, charging fiercely towards Zhen Xiong. I fear you not, Zhen Xiong declared vehemently, summoning a colossal golden tornado, intent on harnessing the tempest's force to ensnare and obliterate the 2 great dragons. In response, Lin Shen harbored no intention of dragging out the confrontation with Zhen Xiong. He unleashed a golden dragon, which charged directly towards the whirlwind, detonating itself right before Zhen Xiong. The explosion's force was considerable, dispersing Zhen Xiong's whirlwind and sending him staggering back several dozen steps. Yet, this was merely the beginning. Another golden dragon surged forth, crashing into Zhen Xiong and exploding upon impact. With the consecutive blasts, Zhen Xiong found himself unable to withstand the onslaught. The force of the explosion propelled him into a large tree, rendering him unconscious. Lin Shen had once again swiftly defeated Zhen Xiong, but the cost was substantial. The dissipation of his projection inherently inflicted harm upon the practitioner, and self-detonation exacerbated that damage. While the power of the self-detonating projection was immense, it was a tactic that inflicted as much harm on oneself as on the enemy. At this moment, following the self-destruction of the 2 golden dragons, Lin Shen felt a tumultuous surge of true energy within him. Unable to bear it, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Just as Zhen Xiong succumbed to unconsciousness, Gojo broke through the sword formation and charged towards Lin Shen. Gojo's breach of the sword formation was within Lin Shen's expectations. Although he was significantly injured, he now only had one final opponent to confront. Indeed, with Gao Bang dead and Zhen Xiong incapacitated, the White Captain had stealthily escaped with Song Yu's corpse, the timing of which was unknown. Now, Gojo found himself alone, ready to engage Lin Shen in a one-on-one duel. Ah, how underestimated I was. In such a brief span, you managed to injure one of my disciples and eliminate another. Impressive, truly impressive. However, I am eager to see just how much more you can endure against me. Gojo, usually composed, could no longer contain his fury. He demanded retribution from Lin Shen. Cloaked in a thick layer of earth, he was obscured from view. This transformation into a colossal figure not only rendered him formidable, but also endowed him with extraordinary strength. With massive hands raised, he struck the ground, instantly creating a deep fissure beneath Lin Shen's feet. In response, Lin Shen executed a soaring leap. However, Gojo's assault showed no signs of abating. His earthen hands morphed into two formidable cannons, launching clay projectiles at Lin Shen, suspended in the air. Despite their composition of earth, these projectiles were harder than steel and caused the ground to tremble violently upon impact. Lin Shen, confident in his robust physique, refrained from facing any of the projectiles directly. Thus, he was compelled to evade, but a misstep caused his legs to plunge into the fissure. This was precisely Gojo's intention. With a subtle gesture, the fractured earth began to seal, trapping Lin Shen's legs within the soil. In a state of panic, Lin Shen summoned 3 treasured swords to strike at Gojo. Yet, Gojo made no attempt to evade. The sword tips sank into the earth, becoming irrevocably ensnared, failing to reach the figure cocooned in soil. Moreover, as Gojo exerted force, he repelled the embedded swords effortlessly. Lin Shen had been careless, underestimating Gojo's capabilities and finding himself ensnared within mere exchanges. At 20 years of age, a 12th level Earth attribute practitioner, he was among the top 10 in the 100-strong battle and the foremost disciple of the Qi refining level at Qianmin sect. Enveloped by these radiant auras, how formidable is Gojo? At this juncture, words are futile. Lin Shen must flee immediately. Yet, the constraints are too tight, rendering his escape momentarily impossible. What to do? The more perilous the situation, the more composed Lin Shen must remain. To secure victory, he must first shatter the protective barrier surrounding Gojo. However, given Lin Shen's usual offensive capabilities, even dislodging a layer of mud from his opponent seems a daunting task. It appears that reliance on the Wuji Jing is inevitable. And this time, it demands not merely double the strength, but rather threefold, or even fourfold. He must remain calm and enter a meditative state. At this moment, Gojo could have easily launched a projectile to obliterate Lin Shen, yet he refrains, desiring not to grant Lin Shen such a swift demise. Thus, Gojo's right hand morphs into a conical shape, elongating slowly, akin to a lance aimed at Lin Shen's heart. Indeed, he intends to make Lin Shen experience the agony of a pierced heart, to render him lifeless from the rupture. The needle-like tip of the lance is on the verge of penetrating Lin Shen's heart, yet at the last moment, Lin Shen raises 2 fingers to seize it. Does he still wish to resist? Gojo channels his vital energy, exerting force to push forward, yet he cannot advance even a fraction. Lin Shen's current state is remarkably peculiar, exhibiting an extraordinary calmness amidst peril. Strangely, his face reveals no trace of emotion. At this moment, Lin Shen gradually channels his entire vital energy between his fingers, and a formidable force begins to coalesce at his fingertips. The breaking void finger. An extraordinary surge of energy erupts from Lin Shen's fingertips, racing along Gojo's lance-like arm towards his body. In an instant, the earth surrounding Gojo detonates, his defenses utterly obliterated. Subjected to such a potent assault, Gojo is sent flying, tumbling to the ground as he violently expels several mouthfuls of blood. With Gojo's technique dismantled, Lin Shen seizes the opportunity to extricate himself. Indeed, Gojo is powerful. Lin Shen's double strength could slay Yin Bao, yet employing triple strength merely inflicts grievous injuries upon Gojo. Such an adversary must not be spared. Lin Shen brandishes his treasured sword, preparing to strike once more at Gojo. Gojo, now devoid of any fighting spirit, dares not engage Lin Shen further. With a surge of vital energy, he raises a mound of earth that envelopes him, gradually sinking into the ground, disappearing from sight. Earth escape? This Gojo possesses the ability to burrow through the earth. Infuriating, he has managed to flee. The moment Gojo escapes, Lin Shen can no longer sustain himself. His legs weaken, and he collapses to the ground. In this battle, Lin Shen has truly fought valiantly, unleashing his most powerful techniques from the outset. Now, his vital energy is nearly depleted, and he is beset by numerous aches throughout his body. This suffering arises not only from the recent confrontation, but also from hastily consuming pills to force a breakthrough. Lin Shen feels on the verge of losing consciousness. However, he must endure, for there remains an unresolved matter. Leaning on his mental acuity, he reaches out to Jin Xiong, who has just begun to regain consciousness. Upon opening his eyes, Jin Xiong sees that Gojo has vanished, and Lin Shen stands before him with a sword poised at his own throat. Realizing the gravity of their defeat, Jin Xiong comprehends that all is lost, and they have suffered a crushing defeat. Go ahead, grant me my anguish. Jin Xiong had no intention of resisting, having been defeated by Lin Shen for the second time. He accepted his fate. You may leave, Lin Shen said after a moment's hesitation, sheathing his sword. In consideration of your relationship as Yenner's cousin, I shall spare your life. Jin Xiong was taken aback by Lin Shen's unexpected mercy. You do not fear my return to incite the wrath of Qianmin sect? He queried. I shall not kill you, nor do I fear your retaliation. We belong to opposing factions, and it is inevitable that we shall engage in a life-and-death struggle. Should we meet again, I will show you no mercy. Therefore, do I need to concern myself with the potential revenge from your sect? Jin Xiong sighed and slowly rose to his feet. You grant me freedom, yet I have a humble request that I hope you will honor. Lin Shen remained silent. Jin Xiong continued, please allow me to take Gao Bang's body with me, so that I may give him a proper burial. I cannot bear the thought of his remains being left to decay in the wilderness. Lin Shen nodded in agreement to Jin Xiong's plea. Jin Xiong then removed the fiery cloud staff embedded in Gao Bang's chest and hoisted his corpse onto his back. Leaning on the staff, he turned to descend the mountain, but not before expressing his gratitude to Lin Shen. Thus, when Jin Xiong's presence had completely faded, Lin Shen finally felt at ease returning to the cave. Stumbling as he made his way inside, he was utterly exhausted and longed for sleep, yet a lingering concern gnawed at him. How was Liana faring? Was she undisturbed in her alchemy? Was everything well? As Lin Shen cautiously made his way deeper into the cave, Liana unexpectedly emerged to greet him. Overjoyed at his return, she rushed forward and embraced him. Lin Shen, it's done. The Huaqing Dan has been successfully refined. Your eyesight shall be restored. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Lin Shen uttered before collapsing to the ground, unconscious. Lin Shen, what is wrong? Wake up. You must not leave us. Chapter 7. The sorrow of Long Ma. Regardless of your thoughts on the matter, the marriage between the Du and Deng families shall certainly be disrupted by me, the young master declared solemnly. Su Shi regarded the two with a serious expression. Upon hearing this, Du Jingza's eyes sparkled as he looked at Su Shi, his tone tender and affectionate, as if he were about to leap into her embrace. Su Shi, caught off guard, shivered slightly and cast a disdainful glance at Du Jingza. Zaza, why are you not a man? Du Jingza replied, feeling wronged. If you were a man, I would surely marry you. As he spoke, he failed to notice the sudden shift in the demeanor of General Jimmy nearby, who shot him a disapproving look. Su Shi remained oblivious to this, patting Du Jingza on the head. Be good. There are so many men in the world. We do not need to search for one among the refuse. This remark cast an odd and delicate atmosphere over the gathering. Particularly, General Du's expression darkened further. Meanwhile, Du Jingza pouted, looking dejected. But there are so few men in the northwest, and none of them are worth anything. Rather than lingering in contemplation, Su Shi might as well sell off her several brothers. Just consider the 4 gentlemen she has. Though none are particularly remarkable, they possess commendable qualities. Which one would you fancy? Feel free to select any. Du Jingza, General Du, General Jimmy, enough of your nonsense. Du Jingza scoffed. How could you have the audacity to push Su's brothers into such a predicament? Throughout her childhood, Du Jingza was often accompanied by the brothers of the Su family, who held a place in her heart akin to that of beloved siblings. She harbored none of those trivial romantic notions. Moreover, she believed that with her disposition, she was unworthy of such admirable brothers. Sa, your statement is quite misguided. You are so endearing and beautiful. How could you be unworthy of those fine young men? Su Shi replied, brimming with pride, before letting out a melancholic sigh. Most men of their age have already married and started families, yet these 4 remained single, leaving her uncertain if they would ever find hope in love. Du Jingza couldn't help but defend Su's brothers, asserting that they simply were not inclined toward marriage. Their thoughts did not dwell on such matters. If they desired, countless women would be eager to wed them, so you needn't worry about them, Cici. And what of you, my dear? Su Shi huffed. Are you implying that I am unladylike? Yet she reminded him, her engagement was already established. She was indeed a betrothed woman, thus would refrain from frivolous pursuits. However, she still longed to unmask certain individuals. Her emotions were quite intricate. Continuing this line of conversation seemed futile, so Su Shi turned to General Du and stated, the matters concerning the Deng family cannot be resolved by us, so discuss how to proceed. For now, let us devise a plan to thwart this engagement. With that, she took Du Jingza by the hand and exited. Du Jingza felt somewhat dazed. Cici, did my father mention that the engagement could be annulled? She was quite bewildered. Su Shi looked at Du Jingza as if she were a fool and replied, if we don't annul the engagement, shall we simply wait to be obliterated by their family? Du Jingza couldn't help but mutter, although you spoke extensively, I truly didn't comprehend much. I gathered that the Deng family engages in nefarious deeds, possibly something even more dreadful, but I remain quite unclear. Su Shi had no intention of enlightening Du Jingza further, but earnestly declared, whether you understand or not is of little consequence. The Deng family's affairs are insignificant. What truly matters is that from the moment I became aware of Deng Qingfeng's existence, I resolved that I would not allow you to marry him. She was resolute in her intentions. After all, she excelled at causing trouble. Worst case scenario, she would simply knock him unconscious and carry him away, leaving the resolution of this engagement to the adults to fret over. She could not bear the thought of Du Jingza's life being irrevocably ruined. Upon hearing those words, Du Jingsa's eyes instantly turned red. Let me tell you, even if you never marry in your lifetime, I will not allow you to marry him. Su Shi, with a grave expression, reiterated that she was not jesting. At worst, she would take you to the capital and find a decent nunnery where you could practice as a nun. Du Jingsa suggested. Or I could plead with the Empress Dowager to let you cultivate in her Buddhist hall. That would also suffice. Su Shi was unafraid of escalating matters, whether labeled selfish or disruptive. After all, was she not just that kind of person? If she were to avoid causing trouble or chaos, would she still be herself? Thus, she stood fearless. At this point, Du Jingsa truly began to weep, wrapping her arms around Su Shi's waist, tears streaming down her cheeks. She. You are truly too wonderful. What good is that? Su Shi pushed Du Jingsa away. Stop crying. I have matters to attend to. Let us go out and have some fun. Saying this, Su Shi returned to her room, selected a more attractive outfit, and meticulously adorned herself. Indeed, the difference between careful preparation and casualness was stark. Upon closer inspection, one would hardly recognize that this was the same person. Du Jingsa was utterly stunned. Who is this enchanting fairy? It was evident she could hardly believe that the radiant figure before her was her dear sister. My goodness, I've never seen you like this. Is it beautiful? Su Shi feigned shyness, gracefully twirling around and giving a respectful bow to Du Jingsa. Du Jingsa felt dizzy. Why, you are definitely not the Shi I know. Who has possessed you? She found it hard to breathe. Then, Su Shi threw a flirtatious glance at Du Jingsa. This little enchantress is irresistible. Before Du Jingsa could regain her composure, Su Shi had already stepped out with elegance. Du Jingsa hurriedly followed. However, misfortune struck. As they collided at the entrance with General Jimmy, who was on his way back. The moment he laid eyes on Su Shi, a flicker of surprise crossed his gaze, quickly replaced by a darkening aura, reminiscent of the ominous sky before a storm, exuding a rather fearsome presence. With a smile, Su Shi performed a proper greeting to General Jimmy. Seizing the moment while he was momentarily dazed, she immediately grasped Du Jingsa's wrist and dashed out. General Jimmy thought to himself, this woman is truly asking for trouble. Chapter 8. The King of Horses at Dawn, like a sharp sword. The light cleaved through the silent shroud of night, heralding the rise of the sun. Daylight had broken. Streams of morning light flowed through the small window like clear spring water, while birds chirped incessantly on the branches. The azure sky was adorned with fluffy white clouds, and a gentle breeze carried the faint scent of blossoms. Inside a rented room in the city, two young individuals, clad in nothing, lay entwined in deep slumber. After a moment, the young man on the bed stirred. As he gradually opened his eyes, he beheld the sharply defined contours of a face. With eyes as pitch black as the boundless depths of the universe, so dark that one could easily succumb to the illusion of being drawn into an abyss. The ebony orbs flickered with a hint of golden light, revealing a trace of pain and an overflow of helplessness. In an instant, a strange brilliance sparkled within those eyes, akin to the most resplendent stars in the night sky, dazzling and enchanting. His phoenix-like gaze narrowed slightly, the pupils exuding an irresistible allure and chilling coldness. Sure, Tian. Chu Yun, you never anticipated my survival, did you? Chu Chen murmured softly. The soul from his former life had finally awakened. Although the outward appearance of the now conscious Chu Chun remained unchanged, his demeanor had undergone a profound transformation. As Chu Chun contemplated the path ahead in his mind, he remained oblivious to the fact that the person in his embrace had opened her beautiful eyes, gazing at him unblinkingly. Realizing that she had awakened, Chu Chun lowered his head with a tender smile, their eyes meeting. He saw that Li Yishue's gaze was filled with adoration and affection. Lowering his head, Chu Chun captured Li Yishue's cherry-like lips, and their heartbeats quickened, leading to an intimate exchange that was not meant for the ears of outsiders. After indulging in each other's warmth for over half an hour, Li Yishue addressed and announced, Chu Chun, I must go to work now. Prepare something to eat for yourself while I'm gone. Chu Chun opened his arms, embracing Li Yishue in a passionate kiss before allowing her to depart for work. Once she left, he lit a cigarette and pondered quietly, how did my soul end up on Earth? Rebirth? Did my soul occupy another's body? I wonder who obtained that ring, Shirtian or Chu Yun. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the room, filled with laughter. Kid, you have finally awakened your soul. A phantom appeared before Chu Chun. Who are you? He inquired. Who am I? I am the elder of 7 kills. When you were attacked and killed, your soul separated from your body and gained the recognition of that fellow Aotian. Otherwise, do you think I would come to your rescue? To save you. I reversed time and arrived in the galactic star domain as described by Aotian, exerting great effort to allow you to occupy the body of a fetus. I have suffered great losses. After painstakingly restoring my soul power over 1,000 years, I have nearly exhausted it all. Elder of 7 kills, weren't you already fallen? And what was the matter with the ring I contested for at that time? Who is Aotion? Chuchin questioned. Kid, I know you must have many doubts right now. Do not rush. Let me explain it to you slowly. Do you understand why you have only just awakened your soul? Chuchin shook his head. The catalyst for your soul awakening is to engage in intimacy with a woman who genuinely loves you, and she must be a virgin. The Elder of 7 kills chuckled. With a sigh of resignation, Chuchun replied, Who sets such conditions? The Elder of 7 kills laughed. It was set by the master of Aotion, the Void Great Sage. Who would have known you took so long to secure a woman to awaken your soul? He snorted. I became a formidable emperor-level being 10,000 years ago, the Lord of the 7 Kills domain, traversing the oceanic realm for thousands of years. Who could match my cultivation and combat prowess, aside from that madman Dao Qi, the Lord of the Dao domain? In the past, to escape this forsaken land of the oceanic realm, I contended with Dao Qi in the Dream Demon Forbidden Zone for the key to leave, known as the Oceanic Order. Chu Chun inquired, Oceanic Realm? What is the Oceanic Order? The Elder of 7 Kills remarked, With your previous level of cultivation, what could you possibly comprehend? The universe is vast and boundless. Our Earth is merely a solitary planet within the Milky Way. A smaller star domain may contain 100,000 planets, while larger ones can encompass millions. The Songhai realm consists of 10,000 domains, of which over 8,000 are inhospitable to life. Humanity occupies just over 1,000 domains, while the remainder is dominated by the demon race. Some star domains are in close proximity, merely a few hundred light-years apart, while others are separated by hundreds of thousands of light-years. The Hung Tian star domain lies approximately 1,500,000 light-years from the Milky Way. Each domain is governed by its strongest warrior, the domain master. Every domain features a towering, uninscribed monument, within which lies a hidden world of its own. The Songhai Order serves as the key to unlock this uninscribed monument. It is said that entering the monument with the Songhai Order allows one to escape this forsaken land. Hence, the emergence of the Songhai Order invariably stirs a tempest of bloodshed, claiming the lives of countless powerful beings. The Elder of 7 Kills elucidated. In my battle with Dao Qi, the entire Dream Demon Forbidden Land was shattered. Countless mountains, rivers, and forests vanished. We fought for 7 days and nights, and ultimately, I paid a tremendous price to defeat Dao Qi. The cost of defeat is death. Just as I prepared to use the Songhai Order to unlock the uninscribed monument, I was ambushed by the Nether Demon Emperor, who had concealed himself nearby, inflicting further injuries upon me. After my confrontation with Dao Qi, I was already at my limit. The Nether Demon Emperor possesses average combat strength, yet he wields a ring, the Nether Demon Soul Ring, which grants him perfect invisibility, allowing him to conceal any trace of his presence. Had I been in my prime, could he have ambushed me? I withstood a blow from the Nether Demon Emperor and activated the Songhai Order to enter the uninscribed monument. Alas, it was too late. My wounds were too severe. Inside the space of the uninscribed monument, there existed only a painting and a mat. Upon the mat lay a ring. The very one you fought for in your past life, the Void Dragon Ring. The figure in the painting remained indistinct. I knew that the individual depicted possessed unparalleled strength, far beyond my own. Beside the painting appeared an inscription. I was the Void Saint of the Void Realm, cast away to this forsaken land after being injured by the foremost saint of the demon race during the war of humans and demons. Aware of my impending demise, I established the uninscribed monument and the Songhai Order as trials for future generations. Those who pass the trials and possess a compatible soul shall inherit my legacy. Those who do not will receive a treasure or be sent away from this forsaken land. If I am no longer present, Aotion will execute the trials in my stead. Upon finishing the reading, I beheld a dragon's phantom emerge from the ring on the mat. Speaking, hold the ring in your hand. The ring emitted a spectrum of colors, signifying the successful completion of the inheritance trial. However, it subsequently shone with 5 colors. My soul did not meet the criteria for inheriting the Void Saint's legacy. As my soul departed my body in my dying moments, the dragon's shadow spoke. I am Aoton, the spirit of the Void Dragon Ring. Over the past 1,000,000 years, you are the first to have ignited 5 colors. This is commendable. Yet you have not fulfilled the Master's requirements. Although you cannot inherit the Master's legacy, your soul may enter the Void Dragon Ring to ensure its preservation. Upon hearing this, the Elder of 7 Kills transformed his sorrow into joy. Why do you declare that our Songhai realm is a forsaken land? Why did the nameless monument vanish later? The Void Dragon Ring would appear in that relic. Chapter 9. Disease. The sword she spewed from the mouth. setting aside the thickest, longest, and largest sword chi. Even the hundreds of slender sword chis seemed to have a mind of their own, deftly slashing down various specters. There was no secret. It was merely exquisite manipulation. Such a skill, particularly in tongue technique, was something ordinary individuals could never hope to master in a lifetime. Upon witnessing this spectacle, Jin Yuqian was utterly astounded. He had once thought Su Xian formidable, yet each encounter with a more powerful adversary only elevated Su Xian's status in his eyes, intensifying his desire to cling to him. Even contemplating whether to resign from the Demon Extermination Bureau in search of a different master. As for the young Taoist Tan, he could discern little, only exclaiming in astonishment, "Oh, infinite celestial sovereign!" The elderly Taoist, however, was genuinely taken aback, trembling as he murmured, "Sword immortal? Are you all right, old Taoist?" Su Xian inquired, relieved, as he approached with a smile, assisting him to his feet and brushing off the dust from his robe. There was no ulterior motive. It was purely an expression of gratitude, a heartfelt thanks. That single sword strike in the Headless Valley had earned him 1,000 strands of merit. Yet here, this one sword had granted him an impressive 2,000 strands, accumulating a total of 38 strands of merit. This old Taoist was indeed his lucky star. If he continued to court danger and Su Xian rescued him repeatedly, his merit would surely reach its zenith. Of course, facing such malevolent spirits always posed a risk. However, when the potential rewards outweighed the dangers, Su Xian could only gamble with his life. There was no choice. It was all for the sake of a blissful future with Banyangzi. As a man, he believed it worthwhile to strive during his youth. Yet, pondering the greater number of demons slain in the Headless Valley, he wondered why the merit was so scant. Su Xian stroked his chin, quickly realizing it must be due to the insufficient malevolence wrought by the demons there. Suddenly, an odd sound emerged. The old Taoist's face flushed, and he hastily gestured before rushing to the restroom to address a personal matter. It must be said that those demons were merciless. They had force-fed him purgative potions. Had he not possessed third-grade cultivation, he might very well have met his demise. Thus, 2 hours passed until the sky brightened. The old Taoist finally emerged from the restroom, his complexion pale, and reclined on the bed in a rather flamboyant manner, slowly stating, "I am known in the secular world as Gao Tianliang. I extend my heartfelt gratitude once more for your timely intervention. My debt of gratitude is immeasurable. While I possess no treasures, I do have a unique formation technique. Might young Master Su be interested in learning more?" Young Taoist Tan, meanwhile, had remained on the sidelines, gasping for breath. He believed something was amiss with his nose, as he could no longer detect any sense, and he was nearly in tears from anxiety. As Su Xian and Jin Yuqian exchanged glances, they both looked at the old Taoist with surprise, inquiring, "Is it your soul-calling formation?" "Indeed," the esteemed Taoist replied, donning a smile that was both awkward and courteous. "Do not be misled by the unexpected results of this formation. It holds significant value in the mundane world. For instance, when attempting to retrieve souls that have been lost, it often yields extraordinary outcomes." Su Xian twitched his lips, asking, "Are you suggesting that you summon hundreds of spirits and then sift through them to find the lost soul?" "Of course, it is indeed a skill," the Taoist continued. "Especially under certain unique circumstances, it can produce remarkable effects, such as accumulating merit. With this in mind," Su Xian readily agreed, contemplating the potential for transformation. Subsequently, he refined the Ghost King's mansion, transforming it into a glossy black orb which he then pocketed, bidding farewell to his master and disciple. After their departure, the young Taoist Ten couldn't help but sniffle, exclaiming, "Master, that Su scholar is truly formidable. The sword energy was dazzling, quite impressive indeed. I witnessed it, but whether he is truly a sword immortal remains to be seen." The esteemed Taoist walked thoughtfully along the path, chuckling, "I must admit, I owe you a debt of gratitude this time. Otherwise, I would not have had the opportunity to assist you in finding a teacher's wife. Then, Master, shall we continue to forge the 10,000 Ghost banner?" The young disciple inquired with wide eyes. "Indeed," the Taoist replied. "Oh, Master, please continue. I shall return to the mountain now. I will keep an eye out for your wife on my way. Hey, do you think you can escape?" "No, I merely wish to avoid death. Master, you go on ahead. Rest assured, I shall collect your remains in a century." "You little rascal, you're asking for a beating. Come on, try me." The young disciple laughed heartily, sprinting away with remarkable speed. Thus, the master and disciple journeyed westward beneath the setting sun. After a day and a night, Su Xian and Jin Yuqian finally returned to Yuhang Prefecture. After distributing the Xian in divine water, they returned to their respective homes, intending to rest well. In Su Xian's room, he held the bottle, shaking it gently. Dividing it yielded 2 pounds, which, according to old Jin, was a treasure worth its weight in gold. He opened the bottle and took a small sip. A gasp escaped him as an unimaginable sensation surged through his entire being. The refreshing feeling emanating from the depths of his soul was indescribably exquisite, akin to a transcendent experience. Su Xian also sensed a fortification of his spirit. Previously, his soul resembled a solid stone. Now, it seemed to be transforming towards something akin to gold or iron. This is a pure qualitative change. Once his soul underwent complete transformation, it would undoubtedly become immensely more powerful. Yet, in the realm of ordinary cultivators, the essence of the primordial spirit was a complete fusion of the nascent soul and spirit, resulting in the creation of the primordial spirit. Henceforth, even a first-tier cultivator, when their primordial spirit emerged, could wield 80% of their physical body as combat prowess, coupled with unparalleled speed and assassination capabilities. Even those who are not proficient in swordsmanship can imbue a weapon with a trace of spiritual power, enabling them to sever heads from a distance of 100 miles or so. The crux of the matter lies in the fact that a first-tier spiritual master, should their lifespan wane, can opt not to enter the cycle of reincarnation but instead reincarnate and cultivate anew in the mortal realm, provided they expend their spiritual energy. However, Su Xian has encountered a conundrum. His nascent soul and spirit seem utterly disinclined to merge, as if each harbors intentions of independence, vying for dominion. This prompts Su Xian to entertain a thought. If he were to continually fortify his soul, it might independently evolve into a spiritual essence. Though he remains uncertain of how it would compare to the spiritual essences of others, it stands to reason that a spiritual essence born from the amalgamation of the nascent soul and spirit would be more formidable, wouldn't it? Su Xian stroked his chin, his mind clouded with uncertainty. Yet the path has already diverged. It is too late for him to recommence his cultivation, leaving him with little choice but to proceed as he is. Thus, Su Xian cast a glance at the remaining Xian Yin divine water and promptly consumed it. In an instant, he absorbed the substance flawlessly, an act that would prove fatal for an ordinary person. Simultaneously, the efficacy of his Tang Xing flesh increased slightly once more. Upon regaining his senses and performing a quick calculation, he exclaimed, 15,000? With a crack, Su Shuxing lay motionless on the bed, his gaze vacant and his breath stilled, as if all motivation and hope for survival had evaporated. Chapter 10. The Valkyrie have all arrived? The supervisor of Daosher, Kuniyuki Hiroshi, exuded an imposing presence. His ears evident yet maintaining a remarkable physique. Glancing at the list in his hand, he instructed, let us introduce ourselves. Yes. The resounding shout from the boys startled Su Qing. I am Jiang Qizhua. I am an infielder. I can guard both second and third base. His voice rang out powerfully, and he stood tall with impeccable posture. Such prowess cannot merely be described with phrases like full of spirit. However, to be capable of guarding both positions is truly remarkable. Although both are infield positions, their requirements are entirely distinct. Second base requires close coordination and heightened strategic acumen, or, one might say, a greater capacity for game comprehension than third base. In contrast, third base places a stronger emphasis on physical attributes. Nonetheless, this position has historically been a void for Asian players. From Su Qing's seasoned perspective, while he may not fully grasp the youth, he recognizes that Asian players, upon reaching adulthood, generally exhibit strength in pitching but weakness in batting, particularly with an evident deficiency in the infield. Among the infield positions, third base is the most challenging to fulfill. Without delving into shortstop, third base necessitates not only fundamental defensive skills, but also exceptional arm strength. In other words, a player must possess agility and dexterity while also maintaining robust physical power, a feat that is inherently challenging. This conundrum has thus given rise to a cadre of players endowed with unique and exquisite skills. For instance, during a long throw to first base, there are those who take a running start, as well as those who execute precise grounders. While it undeniably appears quite splendid, it ultimately lacks the foundation of strength. I am Shan Liangping, hailing from the Junior League. The second player called out again. I have always been a left fielder. Kiki, just as he completed his introduction, a ripple of laughter erupted within the team for reasons unbeknownst to him. Shan Liangping felt a twinge of embarrassment, his body tensing as he understood the source of their amusement. The expectations vary across different levels, and the positions in defense are hierarchical, rendering his situation rather awkward. Typically, defensive roles are categorized as follows. Those who do not excel at shortstop are reassigned to other infield positions, and if they struggle there, they are relegated to the outfield, which is further divided into three positions: center field, right field, and left field. Now, the primary left fielder at the high school level may very well have been a shortstop or an exceptional infielder prior to ascending to this tier. Daisan is an established powerhouse, boasting a plethora of formidable players, yet even among the elite, there exists a hierarchy. However, Su Qing beside him was entirely perplexed by their laughter. What is wrong with being a left fielder? Is it not commendable? Do they not realize how challenging it is to find a proficient left fielder? Beyond mere athletic skill, one must also possess exceptional emotional intelligence, baseball acumen, and intellect. Is this something an average person can achieve? The technical aspect alone is particularly arduous. For professional players, each season entails frequent travel between home and various away games. They must strive to acclimate their bodies swiftly to new ballparks while simultaneously competing. This is often a prime opportunity for newcomers to demonstrate their worth. Many rookies entering the major leagues are assigned to left field. Those with good adaptability quickly discover effective strategies for defending the irregular contours of the left field, showcasing numerous commendable qualities in their performance, potentially securing their place at this level. Conversely, those with poor adaptability may find themselves returned to the minor leagues. But are these players truly lacking in defensive skills? Perhaps they excelled in defense during their time in the minor leagues, or as amateurs, some merely struggle with adaptation. Moreover, the expansive range of left field, coupled with factors such as sunlight, demands robust physical capabilities for players in judgment and long throw decisions, making it no simple task. Beyond technical prowess, left field also necessitates strong psychological resilience and intelligence. In the realm of professionalism, left fields are often bustling with activity. Fans who admire you will cheer for you, engage in banter, and even offer you snacks. Conversely, those who harbor disdain can boo you from beginning to end. In such moments, the media may even provide a lively close-up. Thus, ordinary psychological fortitude may prove insufficient. Certainly, if one's intelligence and emotional quotient are sufficiently high, a bit of interaction to garner the favor of fans is indeed possible. However, at this moment, the distracted Su Qing seems to have forgotten that this is merely an Asian university. He is overthinking, and he is just a novice who will be relegated to left field. Your turn, said the nearby Datian, nudging him as he appeared lost in thought. Self-introduction. The Watermelon Novel Network remarked, the host must be astounded and hasn't even prepared how to introduce himself. I thought he had it figured out already. Left field, haha. That's quite all right. Competition in left field is less fierce. Not so, the infield can easily shift players to the outfield. This is Daosher, in the original text. Have you seen them change the starting lineup? That S from the original work. Now it involves real players, it might change. Do professional teams not alter their rosters for years? Indeed, if a professional team maintains a stable lineup and the players are healthy, it is quite normal not to make changes aside from regular rest. Right. I've been following my favorite Otani for 2 years. Their center field has always been Trout. Only changing due to leave or injury. Of course, someone like the host cannot be a starter. The likelihood of changes is minimal. Has the time for the experience vouchers arrived? I want to go see the host's blunders. There are 5 minutes left. It's definitely my turn. Oh, the first time may be perilous. I'll let you all have it. Are you out of your mind? Isn't this giving you a rare opportunity? Don't you want to see the host's blunders? Honestly, the host might possess some hidden talent, like knocking us viewers away with a single punch. Be careful. Chapter 11. Human nature. In addition to greater experience and combat skills, he found himself under more pressure from Kleezer than in terms of strength and reflexes. Meanwhile, Xavier was earnestly explaining, the Horse Clan's suppression of the Bone Clan has begun to bear fruit. It won't be long before the Bone Clan is stripped of its title among the 7 great tribes. The Horse Clan, led by the Horse King, will welcome all members of the Bone Clan, becoming the true dominant tribe of the Grasslands. Becoming the ruler of the Grasslands is never an easy feat. One must consider that the Bone King, despite his old age, still occupies the chief's position, elucidating Dorsh's confusion. In his heart, Xavier mused, the Horse King has anticipated many things, including the conquest of the Grasslands followed by the subjugation of all nations in Westeros. The arrival of Daenerys, known as the Mother of Dragons, is not merely orchestrated by intermediaries. It is likely driven by the machinations of the Horse Lord himself. At that juncture, individual prowess will no longer be the sole determinant of success or failure. To dismantle the old order and establish a new one, beyond merely ruling the plains, shifting the locus of conflict proves to be a pragmatic approach. My thoughts wandered aimlessly, while on the horse to my left, my sister Doya was enthusiastically discussing a piece of gossip with Dosa. Xavier's tale was somewhat convoluted, difficult to comprehend without careful contemplation. For the straightforward and unthinking Dothraki, they favored matters that were simple and engaging. Dosa, I heard an explosive piece of news from the Bones tribe yesterday. Dosa's eyes lit up. She ceased to focus on the tedious and perplexing responses of our leader and instead remarked, is it about distant Westeros? I have also heard some whispers, seemingly regarding their esteemed Call's daughter. Yes, yes, yes. Dosa nodded eagerly, like a chick pecking at grain. It is said that the Call who rules the continent has died, and the most noble firstborn Call has also perished. Now, the remaining two bloodlines of that Call have journeyed across the sea, seemingly to offer some princess to our horse lord. Sister Dosa pondered for a moment and added, is it a tribute to the horse lord? What do they seek to gain? In the minds of most, including Xavier, the current horse lord Call is none other than the mighty Drogo. However, Doya appeared unconvinced and proudly declared, why can't that princess be offered to my leader as a slave? All foes shall ultimately be trampled underfoot by my leader, binding the title of the strongest within his long hair. And my great and valiant warrior, Xavier, will undoubtedly be the man to defeat the horse lord and usurp the Call as position. At that time, a mere slave princess. As she spoke, Doya sensed an unsettling shift in the atmosphere, her voice abruptly dwindling to silence. Silence enveloped us. Initially, Doya's voice had been loud, fueled by her pride and unyielding confidence in Xavier, which did not permit her words to be mere whispers of the heart. Dosa's complexion turned pale as she glanced around at the oddly silent tribal warriors. Their steeds had inexplicably halted, the once boisterous sounds had vanished in an instant. The air seemed to echo Doya's naive and arrogant proclamations, a man who will defeat the horse lord and replace the Call. What a hubristic and terrifying assertion. What is Call? It is faith. The horse lord is Call, and thus, he embodies the faith of all people of the plains. She is defaming the divine, desecrating the beliefs of all Dothraki, no matter who it may be. Anyone daring to slander the existence of Kaio deserves to be bound to the gallows, consumed by flames, torn apart by venomous serpents, and carried away by vultures, leaving naught but bloodied remnants. Sister Dosa's complexion grew increasingly pallid. This was in the Vinsea tribe, among kin. Doya, as the leader's consort, ought to hold a position of utmost esteem and honor. Yet, even so, upon uttering such an egregious statement, the warriors accompanying the Vinsea tribe exhibited a palpable shift in demeanor. Initially, their expressions were peculiar and strange, then they exchanged furtive glances, and finally, a handful among them, fueled by fervor, eyes ablaze, drew their blades with menacing intent, fixated on the waning Doya. They tightened their reins, their bodies slightly bowing, as if, in the next moment, they would launch into a furious charge. Once the first spark ignited, they would undoubtedly descend into utter madness. What of the leader's woman? To desecrate the ruler of the vast grasslands, born from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, devout warriors would lay down their lives to defend the king's honor. The simple-minded denizens of the prairie are just that, unbending in their convictions. Save for the absolute force of arms. Xavier had initially overlooked this scene, feeling no disquiet at the words spoken. For Doya's sentiments echoed his own innermost thoughts. To hear such endearing words articulated was oddly comforting. However, upon witnessing the ashen plea on Sister Dosa's face, he suddenly grasped the gravity of the situation. Narrowing his eyes, Xavier turned his steed, quietly observing the Vinsea warriors behind him, a fleeting flash of anger flickering in his gaze. Among those warriors, the majority were consumed by rage and a thirst for blood. Their frenzied hostility clearly disregarded his authority as the leader. Why? Why do my kin harbor such sentiments? Fanatical zealots, driven by an unyielding faith. Was there someone continuously indoctrinating them? Xavier's eyes deepened with contemplation, and inexplicably, he recalled the eyes of the priest Carter, those mocking and indifferent eyes. Chapter 12. Death is at him? But before Xavier could ponder the details of his memory further, his peripheral vision suddenly caught a movement. Among the Vinsea warriors trailing behind, he spotted a figure quivering. It was Kabul, the tribe's youthful warrior, vibrant and formidable, the most devoted follower of him and the Horse King. He was also a dear friend of Doya. There he was, perched upon his steed, his legs slightly splayed outward, his form increasingly hunched as if preparing to charge forth at any moment. No, this was indeed the stance of a charge. Xavier's heart raced. Through Kabul's eyes, he perceived the madness brewing within. This was dire. Xavier's anger intensified. In stepping into the role of the Vinsea leader, such behavior from his kin equated to betrayal. Naked betrayal, merely a compliment directed at their leader, has led to this turmoil. If one were to contemplate this situation through the lens of a modern-day Xavier, one could liken the king of horses to an emperor, while the remaining 6 tribesmen resemble feudal lords, each governing their own territories, wielding military might with an air of superiority. The valiant warriors of Vinsea follow him as soldiers, akin to loyal guards. However, the current state of affairs reveals a disheartening truth. The guards no longer support their general, instead choosing to align themselves with the emperor. A mere jest from the general's wife threatens to render the general insignificant. as if they were prepared to strike down their own matriarch. The more Mad pondered this, the more incensed he became, spiraling deeper into frustration. Just moments ago, he had scoffed at Klesa for being unworthy of leadership. Now, he faced a bitter rebuke from his very own guards. The quiet Xavier observed the young warrior Kabul, whom he had come to admire over the past month. Upon the initiation of an offensive, Kabul barely spared a glance at his leader. Instead, a voice rose from murmurs to a fervent shout, echoing like a thunderclap amidst a gentle rain. Despicable wretch, filthy swine, malevolent witch, how dare you insult the great cow? I shall pierce you into a grotesque mass, flay your skin, sever your limbs, and gouge out your eyes, turning you into a monstrous abomination. All in reparation for your words against the illustrious king of the grasslands. Kabul struck his chest with a palm, gazing heavenward like the most devout of believers, fervently reciting the name of his faith. In the next instant, the command to kill was issued. Horses surged forth, a gleaming scimitar raised high. Resembling the Grim Reaper as it charged towards Doya, Kabul was the first to move. The remaining 6 or 7 warriors, their eyes ablaze, resembled fervent and frenzied zealots. Heedless of all else as they advanced toward Xavier, Doris's heart raced uncontrollably. She dared not look at Xavier, nor did she harbor any hope that he would shield them. Such treasonous words were not worthy of their leader bearing the sins for his sister. Drawing her curved blade, Dorsa fixed her determined gaze upon the approaching warriors. Among them were the men who had mocked them earlier that morning, friends with whom they had shared meals, and comrades who had offered mutual aid. Dorsa positioned herself before Doya, a fleeting flicker of anger, helplessness, disappointment, fear, and confusion passing over her features, ultimately coalescing into a resolute expression. Behind her stood her sister. Despite the insults hurled at Cal, she remained her only blood relative. Though her sister might perish due to today's reckless words, Dorsa would give her life to protect her. Dorsa's allegiance had never been to Cal, nor would it ever be. Thus, the familiar yet foreign faces before her were truly detestable. Consumed by fury, Dorsa unsheathed 2 slender curved blades, fiercely spurring her horse forward to engage the enemy. In that moment, Doya, her trembling body jolted back to reality as her sister charged ahead. Overwhelmed by regret, tears streamed from her eyes. Fear consumed her heart, and despair left her utterly breathless. In the fleeting moment before her sister charged forward, a question flashed through Dasha's mind. I have praised my man. Will he protect me because of it? He had vowed to guard with his life that which he cherished. Daya did not have the time to glance at Xavier's expression, for her sister had already surged ahead. The 2 sisters shared a profound connection. The instant Dasha leapt into action, Daya, fueled by indignation, followed suit. Her grievances transformed into fury, sorrow morphed into strength, and despair transmuted into courage. The warriors of the Vensea tribe, even the women, were fierce and untamed, refusing to await death passively. As the distance between the 2 sides diminished rapidly, an eerie calm enveloped the battlefield moments before the clash of blades. A tranquil whisper echoed through the sky. What a pity! A faint yet sharp sound of air bursting apart, akin to a specter, resonated from behind Daya. A flash of silver light darted before the eyes of the crowd, and before Kabul, who stood at the forefront, could comprehend its nature. The silver gleam abruptly materialized before him. In an instant, Kabul's eyes widened slightly. He felt as though something peculiar had pierced into his mind, rendering it a chaotic whirl. The horses obeyed their commands, galloping forward, and as Dasha passed, another formidable brown steed brushed past it. Within mere seconds, the glint of blades and silver flashed, and blood sprayed forth. It was as if a celestial dragon had plunged into a flock of sheep. None could stand against it. The world fell silent once more. Horse after horse passed between Dasha and Daya, resembling a silent play, merely brushing past one another. Were it not for the headless bodies or those severed in half, it would have been a remarkable theatrical performance. Chapter 13. Establishing a new civilization. Silence, an exquisite stillness. The notion of strength is often a mere concept. Yet beneath it lies the brutal reality of slaughter. Of the nearly 30 tribe members who had followed, only 17 remained. Xavier, on horseback, let out a barely perceptible sigh before turning cold, gazing at the remaining warriors of the tribe. From this day forth, I shall initiate a trial of blood, the challenge of Cal. Those who have fallen, as warriors of the Vensea tribe, were disloyal to their leader and attempted to harm his wife. Only death can grant them redemption. And you, my warriors, what shall your choice be? The crimson blood still held warmth as it dripped slowly from the curved blades, and those words, reminiscent of hell itself, coiled around the hearts of the onlookers like a demon. Fear, a profound and paralyzing fear. For the first time, the warriors of Vensea felt fear emanating from their leader. Strength, power, unparalleled might. Such a formidable leader declaring his intent to challenge the Horse King seems far from impossible. They still recall the words he uttered before all when he vanquished Creaser. I shall challenge the great cow. This is no jest, nor is it a mere plea for the honor of a challenge bestowed by cow. It is, in truth, a challenge steeped in glory and blood, faith and madness. It is not a request, but a declaration of war. If successful, the entranced tribal warriors shuddered with exhilaration, their breath quickening, and their gazes ablaze. For those who had remained loyal to the tribe and the leader without engaging in violence, the choice was rather straightforward. Our king shall be invincible in battle, bearing the glory of the tribe, becoming the mightiest man among the Dothraki of the plains. Tears glistened in the eyes of Sister Doya, yet deep within there resided a crimson fervor. The obsession of the women of the plains with the strong eclipses even their own lives. Sister Doya raised her curved blade, her clear voice ringing with defiance and excitement. I shall offer my soul and life to you, following your glory, witnessing the birth of the king of the plains. Doya's words seemed to awaken those entranced, and a cacophony of frenzied roars erupted behind him. For the glory of the king! For the glory of the king! Xavier nodded with satisfaction. Excellent. Then let us carry forth my proclamation and torment the Bone King once more. Along the way, we shall pull this wretched soul into my fold. Chuckling inwardly, Xavier approached Doya, wiping away her tears, brushing her nose, and bestowing a gentle kiss upon her lips. You are like a little worm in my heart, always uttering the words I most desire to hear. So do not reproach yourself. I relish your adoration. Doya, slightly bashful, turned her head away. Xavier then moved to Sister Dorsa's side, gently stroking her hair. Unlike her more reserved sister, Dorsa, rarely taking the initiative, leaned forward and kissed her king. The tranquility of the moment, sweet and soothing, brought Xavier great comfort. Aside from the blood and corpses strewn about, there was the struggling Bone King. Night fell upon the Bone clan's territory. Having once again thoroughly bested the Bone King, Xavier laughed heartily as he departed. He harbored no concerns that this leader would refuse him. The tribesmen of the Far East, especially those who ascend to leadership, have never been known to linger in despair. Given an opportunity, they will seize it, even at the cost of their lives. However, to expedite the Bone King's decision-making process, Xavier secretly returned the following day, slaying the Bone clan's priest and conveniently leaving behind clues implicating the Horse clan in the turmoil. The shallow traces would easily be recognized as a frame-up. Yet, this mattered little, as long as the majority of the ignorant would be led to believe it. Most importantly, eliminating the highly esteemed priest of the Bone clan would effectively consolidate the authority of the clan's leader while simultaneously disrupting the plans of the Horse King. Why not seize such an opportunity? The presence of the Eye of Truth allowed Xavier to effortlessly discern subtle clues. For instance, under the scrutiny of the Eye of Truth, he discovered that the sole high priest of the Bone clan harbored animosity towards the Bone King, yet displayed unwavering loyalty to the Horse King. To slay him would not be an act of senseless violence. After all, Xavier had conveyed to the Bone King his original intention, to challenge all the formidable warriors among the 7 great tribes, ultimately confronting the Bone King to emerge as the new cows. At that time, he would unify all tribes, ensuring that the Dothraki would no longer engage in internecine conflicts, fostering a new civilization and establishing a new kingdom. And you, Horse King, regardless of whether you are aging, would hold the most esteemed position and authority within my realm until death, surrounded by the most beautiful women who would kiss your lips and whisper sweet nothings in your ear. After all, you have grown old, perpetually anxious about challenges from others, fearing in the dead of night that a bloody curved blade might sever your head. If I were in your position, I too would make the best choice. Chapter 14. The Upgrade of the Eye of Truth. By this point, Xavier had entirely forgotten the original purpose bestowed upon him by the system upon his arrival. You are merely a traveler, not a participant. Do not become overly engrossed. The identity of a traveler is inherently that of an observer. But what significance does that hold? Given this identity, he could at least engage in any endeavor he desired on this continent, far removed from the struggle for power. After lingering for 2 days among the Bone clan, Xavier fortuitously encountered the Black Barbarians once more. Unsurprisingly, he found himself embroiled in yet another skirmish. This time, victory came with even greater ease. Having chosen to make this matter public, he could not escape the machinations of modernity. It was not a matter of intellectual superiority. The Dothraki scattered across the Far East continent were not foolish, merely inclined towards violence. Although the leader of the Black Barbarians was among the weaker factions of the 7 tribes, he was characterized by his boisterous nature and reverence for strength, making him a commendable warrior. Xavier drew him into a small chamber and, with a long knife pressed against his hair, threatened him, ultimately securing his promise. As long as he could openly defeat the Horse King and gain the allegiance of 2 or more tribes, he would lead his tribe into the new kingdom, becoming the mightiest warrior. Satisfied with his response, Xavier refrained from cutting his long hair, a symbol of his honor. On the following day after parting ways with the Horse King, he encountered a particularly unique tribe, the Cursed Tribe, known for their nomadic existence along the coastline, seeking the footprints of the divine and venerating strength. This tribe had no priests, only a leader who wielded absolute martial prowess and possessed the ability to communicate with the gods. It is noteworthy that the leader of this tribe holds their position for an extended duration, remaining in power until old age, at which point they designate a most exceptional successor to become the new divine representative. This tribe is remarkable, venerating the sea as their deity, and they migrate in accordance with the peculiar migratory patterns of a bird known as the malak. It is said that this malak bird embodies the sea god and shows affinity only towards the leader of the Kelsh tribe. A malak bird is said to reside with this tribe year-round, though there are whispers that this bird is the manifestation of a mighty dragon, the truth of which remains uncertain. Xavier possesses some understanding of the cooperation within this tribe, for with his eye of truth, a mere gaze into the bird's eyes can evoke a sense of kinship with such a simple creature. This small capability, discovered inadvertently through the use of his eye of truth, proves to be quite useful at this moment. The great leader of the Kelsh tribe invariably carries this bird wherever they go. According to the rumors on the grasslands, wherever a malak bird is found, a Kelsh tribe must be nearby. The leader of the Kelsh tribe is formidable, ranking among the most powerful of the 7 tribes. In a display of absolute power, Xavier forcefully activated the Eye of Truth, and after a grueling 3 minutes, he barely concluded the battle. Blood seeped from the corner of his eye again. Yet he was determined to complete the task at hand. Xavier gazed at the malak bird, quietly perched within a filigree cage. Activating the Eye of Truth unleashed its unique effects. Sensing an unusual aura, the malak bird twisted its head a full 180 degrees. Regarding Xavier with an enigmatic stare, their eyes met, triggering the special effects of the Eye of Truth. A peculiar wave of energy surged from Xavier's eyes into the pupils of the malak bird. Chirp, 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 before the astonished eyes of all present. Including the leader of the Kelsh tribe, the malak bird flapped its wings and soared out of the uncovered cage, its resplendent azure form miraculously hovering before Xavier. This bird possessed the ability to suspend time, as if the very flow of time had ceased. It engaged Xavier in earnest, their gazes locked. This bird seems to possess some intelligence, Xavier mused in astonishment. Yet, in the next moment, he sensed something amiss. No. Why does the ocean appear to be flowing within its eyes? That is the ocean. No, that is the shadow of a dragon. A radiant light manifested before Xavier's eyes. A mysterious wave that brought a profound sense of comfort to his painfully weary eyes from the recent battle. It felt as though the injuries sustained in the conflict were significantly healed during this exchange of gazes. Light emerged within his eyes. Eye of Truth, Level 12, 40,200. Basic effect, vision greatly enhanced, ability to capture both static and dynamic movements improved. The special effect, the eyes serve as windows to the soul. When gazing into the eyes of a creature, one can discern the emotions harbored within. The hidden effect, focusing one's mind consumes energy, with a chance to capture the trajectory of truth. The new effects added are as follows. 1. Enhanced mental strength. 2. Your perception of reality will become clearer. 3. Gazing into the eyes of a creature will yield fragments of information, though it is advisable to limit this to 3 times a day. 4. You will gain a fleeting, fragmented, and random prophetic ability. Has this been upgraded? Chapter 15, The Dragon of the Ocean. The sudden enhancement of the Eye of Truth left Xavier in utter astonishment. However, upon gazing once more into the eyes of the bird, information flowed forth. Malak bird, Dragon of the Ocean. Name, Malak, bloodline, sealed. Age, 451 years. Once a descendant of the ancient oceanic dragons, possessing extraordinary might, yet due to the impending apocalypse, she willingly merged with the sea, giving rise to a new species known as the Malak bird. The one before you is the sole avian of this era to inherit the bloodline and wisdom of the oceanic dragon. She was taken in and raised by the chieftain of Kelsh, bound by a covenant to protect each generation of tribal leaders. Your Eye of Truth has gained her favor. You have endeared her. You have vanquished her. The newfound ability swiftly provided Xavier with answers. His understanding of matters and the information at hand meant his confusion was short-lived. Has fortune smiled upon him? Xavier felt an odd sensation, an indescribable strangeness. The light often hides within the mundane, just as it does at this moment. The Malak bird, or rather, the oceanic dragon that has devolved into a 5-centimeter azure avian. no longer hovered in midair. She flapped her enchanting azure wings, soaring toward Xavier's head, nestling amidst his tousled hair, squinting as she quietly observed the crowd. The Kelsh chieftain, realizing the situation, called out desperately, yet to no avail. This outcome was anticipated, yet to be honest, it surpassed Xavier's expectations. With the affection brought forth by the Eye of Truth, coupled with the unique effect of emotional resonance, Xavier initially intended to use this to persuade the Kelsh tribe, believers in the might of deities, to forge an alliance with him. However, the conclusion seemed to suggest that the brilliance in Xavier's eyes was not illusory, but rather substantial. Thus, witnessing the Kelsh tribe kneeling in reverence felt somewhat inevitable. "Oh, deity of the ocean, please accept our homage. Oh, my oceanic god, have you found your messenger?" The eyes of this formidable man truly shimmered with light just moments ago. He is a formidable being chosen by the god of the ocean, or perhaps he is an embodiment of divinity itself. The leader of the Kelstar tribe retains his composure. Yet the recent summons has ignited discontent in the eyes of the Malak bird, instilling a sense of trepidation in this powerful chief. A warrior capable of vanquishing him. A messenger favored by the gods. A man radiating light in their gaze. The leader of the Kelstar tribe must ponder deeply whether this is indeed an enlightenment bestowed upon him by the ocean. "You harbor doubts about me. You tremble before me. You hold me in reverence. Mystek, deep within your heart lies unparalleled fervor." Xavier approached with purposeful strides, his lofty stature allowing him to scrutinize the depths of Mystek's eyes, as if he could discern all of his emotions. Mystek's heart quaked as he gazed incredulously at Xavier, his gaze uncontrollably drawn to the Malak bird perched atop Xavier's head, equally fixated upon him. Through years of nurturing, Mystek could acutely sense the emotions within the eyes of this oceanic embodiment. It was submission. "Do you wish for me to submit?" Mystek murmured to himself, fully aware of Xavier's essence, recalling a time when he appeared feeble in his memories. Yet now his strength seemed utterly natural. After a brief hesitation, he finally spoke. "Leader Xavier, your sudden surge in power, is it a divine revelation?" Xavier raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Oh, the deity you speak of?" Without hesitation, Mystek replied, "It is undoubtedly the god of the ocean, the magnificent dragon of the sea. The most powerful and wise of all beings. Or perhaps it might be so?" Xavier pondered for a moment before continuing. "You may regard me as a messenger of the divine, for my arrival heralds the establishment of a new Kao, a new kingdom, civilization, and order upon this land. Finding you is indeed a divine directive. Would you not agree?" Xavier gently cradled the small bird resting atop his head, finding it hard to reconcile the fluffy creature with the image of a great dragon. Remarkably, the azure Malak bird nodded, its tiny head nuzzling Xavier's palm without a hint of wariness. "You desire to rule." Mystek's gaze flickered, each word deliberate, "the entire Dothrak tribe of the plains. In the truest sense?" Chapter 16. Faith. "Oh, indeed," Xavier replied earnestly, playing with the Malak bird as he gestured to the chief. "Upon the establishment of this new kingdom, I can offer you 3 promises. First, your beliefs shall remain unchanged. I could even inspire more individuals to embrace the worship of the ocean. Second, I will designate the entirety of the sea where the micro-birds congregate under your jurisdiction, aiding you in safeguarding this land, and you, Mystek, shall become an even more esteemed warrior than you are now. Third," Xavier paused, locking eyes with Mystek, and softly declared, "I shall unveil to you the true essence of a great dragon. If fate allows, you shall witness the dragon of the ocean with your own eyes. In the name of the tribe, in the faith of the sea, and in the name of the future Kao, I swear." Although Xavier has yet to become Kao, he firmly believes that it will not be long before he does. Clang clang. Mystek, however, was not particularly intrigued by the first 2 promises. Even though they were allies, the Crest tribe reigned over the coastal continent. They required more people to embrace the faith of the ocean. But it was not an urgent necessity. Yet, for centuries, no member of the Crest tribe had ever turned down the opportunity to witness the embodiment of their lifelong faith. Even if it were merely the great dragon, rather than the dragon of the sea, you harbor no ambition, but your fervor for faith pleases me. No, it pleases the divine greatly. Even in your doubt, should there exist even a fraction of a possibility, you would acquiesce, would you not?" Mystek felt as though he were laid bare before the young man's calm gaze. Taking a deep breath, he suddenly spoke, "Since you are a messenger of the gods, do you know the origins of the great Malak?" Xavier nodded. "I do not claim to know much, but this bird has lived for centuries, though many believe her to be a different Malak bird. Yet, you must be aware, for centuries ago, she made a covenant of guardianship with your ancestors. I presume this matter is known only to you and the former leader, is it not?" Silence ensued, a silence that lingered for what felt like an eternity. Xavier sensed that this silence was unlike that of the Bone King or the Black Barbarian King. It was a deeper silence, one imbued with clarity of understanding. The words that would follow this silence would determine the price he was willing to pay. Xavier was not in a rush. Yet Miss Deck's conclusion of silence came swifter than he had anticipated. We worship the divine, but we also revere Kao, esteemed messenger of the gods. The moment you personally vanquish Kao will be the moment our Crest tribe acknowledges you as our sovereign. Forgive me, but it is only at that moment that I can persuade myself to entrust the entire tribe to you. Upon hearing such a response, Xavier felt immense satisfaction. Profound satisfaction indeed. He nodded, and a smile finally graced his previously calm visage. So, whom do you believe to be stronger, myself or the Horse King? Miss Deck hesitated for a moment before slowly shaking his head. If it were merely the strength displayed moments ago, the Horse King could achieve the same. Though I would endure a bit longer. Xavier understood now. He passed the noble little bird to Doya, whose eyes sparkled with wonder, and turned back to Miss Deck. Then, let us engage once more. I have yet to level up. The battle ignited once again, and this time, the outcome was evidently more favorable than before. Having resolved the matters concerning the Crest tribe, Xavier, accompanied by his new guest, the Malak bird, resumed his journey to the assembly of the 7 tribes. For days had passed of the 7, leaving 3 days of travel ahead. Xavier chose not to journey alongside the other tribes, but instead led the warriors of his own tribe in a different direction. Together with his Vinsea tribe, he had already dealt with 4 of the 7 tribes. Aside from the Horse King's clan, only 2 tribes remained that he despised the most, the Bai Miao tribe and the Shuren tribe. Both of these tribes were known for their madness. The Bai Miao tribe and the Heiman tribe were once a single tribe a century ago, but for reasons unknown, they split, resulting in the current animosity between the 2 factions. One of the reasons Xavier opted for the Heiman tribe was their antagonism, coupled with the fact that the leader of the Bai Miao tribe had a close relationship with the Horse King, reminiscent of a top enforcer and subordinate dynamic. The root of this connection likely stemmed from the mysterious death of the Bai Miao tribe's leader many years ago, which enabled a new strongman within the tribe to form a close bond with the Horse King. Over the years, the Bai Miao tribe has likely produced the most warriors who revere the Horse King across the entire prairie continent. The consequence of this allegiance has been a relentless spree of plunder and slaughter, deriving pleasure from the oppression of weaker tribes, often resorting to the annihilation of entire clans and the trafficking of the prairie populace. Although there have been attempts to manage this, they proved futile, as the Horse King's silence rendered the proclamations of the 7 tribes mere empty words. Xavier deemed such a brainwashed tribe irredeemable, believing that the only solution lay in defeating their leader and ascending as the new Kao. The second tribe, the Shuren tribe, also posed a significant challenge. Perhaps due to the superficial cultural encroachment from across the shallow sea, the prairie savages had become somewhat more civilized on the surface. Over 30 years ago, the tribe was not known by its current name. It was more commonly referred to as the cannibal tribe. While their diet did not primarily consist of human flesh, they did indulge in it and showed no aversion to consuming their own kind. This tribe, though small in number, boasted individuals of extraordinary madness. Their ability to maintain a position among the 7 great tribes of the prairie, despite their limited numbers, attests to their formidable combat prowess. Apart from Kao, they pledged allegiance to no one. Even Kao had to remain vigilant against the challenges posed by their leader, as true fatalities were a genuine possibility. Memories flooded Xavier's mind, recalling the last encounter when the Horse King had shown no mercy, leaving the cannibal tribe's leader severely injured while sustaining minor wounds himself. He pondered whether the leader of the Shuren tribe had changed since then. Perhaps the previous leader had been devoured after returning home in such a state. As Xavier trudged along the path, having just departed from the Bai Miao tribe, his mood was far from cheerful. The state of the Bai Miao tribe was worse than he had anticipated. The warriors brought forth by the tribe's leader exhibited an almost fanatical loyalty to the Horse King. This emotional allegiance was far more intense than that displayed by the warriors of the Bone tribe. In a hostile situation, Xavier inflicted severe injuries upon the leader of the Bai Miao tribe, ensuring that he would not interfere with the forthcoming plans. One must acknowledge that following the second upgrade of the Eye of Truth, Xavier felt himself to be nearly invincible in solitary combat on this vast prairie. This newfound prowess was not merely an enhancement of physical capabilities, but rather a profound transformation on a spiritual level. The most immediate manifestation of this was his ability to anticipate his opponent's movements during battle, which would appear to slow down significantly within his visual perception. My great king, the Horse King must have received word of your challenge. Shall we summon some warriors? I fear, said a brown-haired maiden atop a white steed, her eyes reflecting a hint of concern. On the other side, a girl, strikingly similar yet with a more vibrant spark in her eyes, named Doya, nodded earnestly. You mentioned that the Horse King is not merely a ruler, but a man with ambitions to unify the prairie. If we cannot resolve matters through combat, he may resort to underhanded tactics to eliminate you. Xavier playfully tapped the heads of the two maidens, a smile gracing his countenance. Isn't our tribe already significantly infiltrated by the Horse King? Consider that scoundrel who sought to slay you. Upon our return, it is imperative we rectify this situation. Moreover, the several months' journey will surely not permit us to delay. Turning his gaze back to Doya, he continued, as for whether the Horse King would employ foul methods against me, I have faith that he will not. Previously, Xavier had shared similar concerns. But the prophetic capabilities bestowed by the Eye of Truth allowed him to dream one night of his true battle with the Horse King. While the dream lacked further details, he witnessed the Horse King's fervent battle spirit, a zeal that surpassed even his ambitions. Come, my ladies, let us defeat the leader of the carnivorous tribe, so we may justifiably stand before the Horse King and conquer him. After all, this is the inevitable path to becoming Kyle. With a chirp, a cerulean malak bird descended from the heavens, hovering gracefully, its ocean-like eyes seemingly brimming with information. Xavier understood its signals and nodded appreciatively. Thank you for your efforts. The malak bird flapped its wings, chirping twice before perching atop Xavier's head, squinting its eyes in apparent delight. My king, why does this bird take such a liking to you? Doya inquired, her curiosity piqued, revealing her fondness for the creature. Perhaps it awaits me to transform it into a true sea dragon? The malak bird chirped softly, as if in response. Well, my ladies, it appears the carnivores are just ahead. They seem to be feasting upon human flesh. Would you like to take a look? Xavier jested, making a comical face to frighten them. Then let us reduce them to a pulp. Charge forth. Two young women conversed, unperturbed and devoid of any trepidation. As she observed the exuberant Doya rushing forward, Xavier clicked his tongue, uncertain of what to say. The women of the Vinsea tribe were certainly no fragile beings. Come, my warriors, we cannot allow women to outpace you, Xavier remarked, casting a glance at his increasingly fervent warriors. With a wave of his hand, he spurred his horse onward to catch up. Ladies, should I seize you, you shall undoubtedly face punishment tonight. Chapter 18. Slaughter. The group galloped forward, and soon they beheld wisps of smoke curling into the sky. That marked the resting place of the carnivorous tribe, not far from their current location. The smoke rising ahead indicated that the tribe had just finished preparing their food, placing it upon the grill to roast over charcoal. Xavier reined in his horse, and the exceptional vision granted by the Eye of Truth allowed him to discern the nature of the food on the grill. It was a human, a woman, heavily pregnant. Suddenly, a wave of nausea washed over Xavier, a visceral repulsion causing his body to shudder. His stomach churned, threatening to expel its contents at any moment. My lord, why does your complexion appear so pallid? The perceptive and composed Dorsa noticed Xavier's distress and approached him with concern, though she could not discern the scene from afar. Even if she did, she might not have paid it much mind aside from feeling disgusted. It's nothing, merely an affront to my eyes, Xavier replied, furrowing his brow tightly as he fought against the discomfort. Cognition and reality diverged. Witnessing the grotesque truth firsthand instilled in him an overwhelming loathing for this tribe. Such occurrences would never be permitted within the kingdom he envisioned. Taking a deep breath, Xavier resolved to make a significant decision. The progress of civilization may encompass barbarism, slaughter, and tales of blood and fire. Yet, he would not allow such grotesque acts, devoid of any civilizational ethics, to transpire. Even beasts refrain from consuming their own kind. Yet this tribe revels in cannibalism. It is truly abhorrent. What is abhorrent? Dorsa inquired, perplexed. Xavier unsheathed his curved dagger, pursing his lips as he murmured. Do you believe it is difficult to persuade the carnivorous tribe to abandon their taste for human flesh? Impossible. The belief of the carnivorous tribe is rooted in human flesh. They are cruel and filthy. Unless they are annihilated, they shall never change. His sister Doya affirmed from beside him. Then let us seize this opportunity to eradicate them swiftly. Xavier muttered, his gaze fixed on the raucous crowd reveling in their savage festivities. It is truly an eyesore. The malak bird overhead seemed to sense his murderous intent, and, just as Xavier urged his steed into a gallop, it took flight from above, soaring into the heavens, its destination unknown. Kill. The low, guttural roar imbued with the essence of slaughter jolted the warriors of the Vinsea tribe back to their senses. They exhibited no fear. Instead, their faces bore the frenzied countenance of slaughter, including that of Doya Udosha. What is death? It is the valiant pursuit alongside a great king across the vast lands. A return to the primordial soil of the prairies, a journey to the realm of eagles and deities. They do not fear death. What they dread is the fading of glory, the extinction of their tribe. Xavier charged ahead, racing towards the carnivorous tribe's encampment with unparalleled speed. The sound of thundering hooves intensified. In the fleeting moment before the carnivorous tribe could react, he had already infiltrated their ranks. With a curved dagger in each hand, Xavier resembled a supreme harbinger of death. As he burst into the fray, he headed straight for the 4 men guarding the roasting spit. In a flash, the cold gleam of his blades appeared, dancing like a radiant moon, severing the throats of these men in an instant. As his steed galloped over the bonfire, Xavier cleaved the wooden post supporting the spit, lifting a plank to extinguish the flames, and charged directly towards the leader of the carnivorous tribe. Xavier, how dare you? The leader of the cannibal tribe bellowed in furious outrage as the warriors of his tribe began to rally, brandishing their curved daggers and rushing forward. Xavier offered no reply, ruthlessly dispatching each assailant that dared to approach. The enhancement of his mental acuity allowed him to wield his skills with increasing proficiency. Even in the face of foes unafraid of death, he remained unscathed. Hagu, the king of the equine, the great cow, will not spare you. The leader of the carnivorous tribe mounted his warhorse, brandishing a long, sharp-boned knife, licking the still-fresh clots of blood from its blade. His eyes, devoid of humanity, glowed with a sinister crimson light. Hagu, I shall kill you and devour your bones clean. Your Vinsea tribe will ultimately become our sustenance. Wielding the bone knife, the leader taunted while urging his warriors to charge, seeking to disrupt Xavier's momentum. This tactic proved effective. Xavier's physical prowess had not significantly strengthened. The overwhelming numbers in battle could swiftly deplete his mental reserves, and at this stage, the Eye of Truth was not invincible. As fatigue set in, the body's responses could no longer keep pace with the mind's, a perilous situation indeed. However, this was not the stronghold of the carnivorous tribe. Their warriors numbered no more than 50. If only Xavier were granted time, he could eliminate them all before his stamina waned. At that moment, a glimmer of cold light flickered at the corner of his eye. An instinctual sense of chilling danger compelled Xavier to instinctively assume a defensive posture to the side. Bang! Chapter 19. The King of Horses. A sudden clash of metal rang in his ears. That unexpected flash of cold light turned out to be a sharp arrowhead. How could the carnivorous tribe wield such a weapon? Moreover, should not this material belong solely to the continent of Westeros? Xavier did not ponder for long. The recent block had interrupted his rhythm, causing his charge towards the cannibal chief to slow slightly. Then let us first exterminate you. Xavier abandoned his fixation on decapitation and began to unleash his full fury upon this reckless band of lunatics. Kill! The furious roars of warriors from his tribe echoed nearby, intertwined with a clear voice, indistinguishable as either Doya or Dosa. As over 10 warriors from the Vinsea tribe joined the fray, the pressure on Xavier suddenly eased. He urged his steed, evading a cold arrow aimed at its body, and with a bloodied curved blade in hand, he swiftly slashed, the crescent-shaped edge piercing the torso of an archer preparing to shoot. This individual was neither a member of the cannibal tribe nor appeared as a plainsman. Xavier speculated whether this person was, perhaps, a trafficker of souls from the distant shores of Westeros. Never mind, let us first deal with the immediate threat. Feigning fatigue, Xavier awaited the charge of the cannibal chief, who believed the moment had arrived. Coincidentally, he too sensed the opportune instant. At the moment the cannibal chief, grinning menacingly, surged forward, the outcome was already sealed. Xavier had to concede that the chief was indeed formidable, compared to the leader of the cursed tribe. He was more deranged and brutal. In a battlefield context, he would make a formidable warrior, but alas, he was merely a savage beast. This battle also revealed the limitations of Xavier's physical form. His mental fortitude was robust, yet his physique lagged behind, leading to a disjointed sense of disconnection. Had his physical capabilities been stronger, Xavier believed he could truly become an invincible entity among humanity. Unfortunately, this world harbored the likes of White Walkers and dragons. Could mere mortals withstand a single blow? With a sigh, fragments of images flickered through Xavier's mind. He glimpsed information regarding the cannibal chief, details about the slave trade with merchants from Westeros, alongside harrowing scenes of his tribe engaging in cannibalism. The final image revealed thousands of swine raised by the cannibals in a certain region. It turned out that the absence of intellect was merely a fade. They traded slave resources for weaponry, and this fellow was the only one daring enough to challenge the rule of the Horse King. Xavier shook his head once more. This situation was unexpected yet rational. The cannibals held no faith in anyone, not even in Kair, who submitted under the weight of power. Their ambition to overthrow the Horse King's dominion to become the foremost slave masters of the plains was, indeed, plausible. However, they underestimated the Horse King gravely. The 7 great tribes had been infiltrated to a significant extent. Their slave trade had likely been under his watchful gaze for some time, merely awaiting the right moment to reorganize the other tribes. Once consolidation was complete, they would undoubtedly arrive with righteous slogans to seize this batch of filthy weapons. Xavier's soliloquy was overheard by the astute Dorsa, who approached with a bloodied curved blade in hand, her expression tinged with melancholy. "My lord, 3 of our brave warriors have perished in battle. Had we not been mounted on our steeds, and had you not slain the majority of our foes, we would surely have faced even greater losses. Our numbers are woefully insufficient. Should the Horse King lead his kin to assault us, we would meet our demise." Xavier sighed, wrapping an arm around Dorsa's waist as he gazed out across the boundless, yet seemingly perilous grasslands. "The warriors of the Vinsea tribe fear not death. I shall carry their honor forth and conquer the entirety of this vast expanse. Let us ensure they are laid to rest properly. Their families and children shall receive my eternal protection." Dorsa nestled against him, her clear and tranquil gaze joining his in surveying the horizon. Though not naturally melancholic, she had learned to share her sorrow since having a man she revered as a deity by her side. Nearby, her sister Doya stood quietly. Refraining from interrupting this moment that belonged to her elder sister, Xavier's comfort was indeed the best solace for her. Xavier found the scene before him somewhat poetic. Yet the bloodied head he clutched tightened in his grip. It was the grotesque visage of the carnivorous tribe's leader, whose eyes still reflected fear and horror. He would not rest in peace. Even in death, he could not fathom why the once feeble Vinsea leader had grown so formidable. Perhaps, in his final moments, the memory of Xavier's inherent strength had surged forth. This severed head was a trophy belonging to Xavier. While he typically cared little for such spoils, in this moment, he found a compelling reason to hold on tightly. As time passed, a cerulean malak bird descended from the sky, its form resembling a miniature dragon, spiraling above Xavier until it finally settled quietly atop his head. Dorsa's eyes shifted from sorrow to serenity, and then from tranquility to warmth. Yet, at the very edge of her vision, a man atop a grand steed, flanked by countless shadows, locked gazes with Xavier from afar. It was the Horse King. Chapter 20. The annihilation of your entire clan. Dorsa did not perceive the distant figure as one engaging in a gaze with her, yet an involuntary tremor coursed through her. Fortunately, the warmth of the man's embrace provided her with solace, assuaging her shivers in short order. The Horse King, Maris Contreras, the sole sovereign of the plains, poised to unify this land, was indeed making eye contact, but his focus was not on Dorsa, rather it was directed at Xavier. Xavier had long discerned the approaching figure at the edge of the grasslands, but to his astonishment, he recognized that the Horse King had already spotted him as well. The sheer physical prowess required to achieve such clarity without the aid of the Eye of Truth must have been terrifying indeed. In the effects brought forth by the Eye of Truth, Xavier discerned the emotions flickering within the eyes of the Horse King. Was it curiosity, tranquility? Yet, as the figure drew ever closer, this tranquility gradually morphed into a hint of excitement. Did he intend to encircle us? Doya rushed forth from the side, her bloodied curved blade drawn once more, her delicate form shielding Xavier. She scrunched her nose and opened her mouth, letting out a fierce growl to bolster her courage, her lively eyes reflecting a stubborn protectiveness. This girl is adorably foolish. Xavier tossed the severed head high, casting it aside, then wiped his hands on his sleeve before enveloping Doya in a warm embrace, planting a fervent kiss near her lips. "My dear girl, your man is still alive." The blood on his cheek was tenderly licked away by an unknown softness, and Doya's earnest voice rang out with gravity. "I fear not Kao, nor the Horse King. I fear nothing. I shall be the first to charge the enemy, defending my king's glory with my life." Xavier nodded with a smile. "Indeed, I know. However, if you wish to uphold that glory, then do stay put. I would not want you to come to harm in such a meaningless place." He patted the 2 proud girls, signaling them to step back. He raised his hand, indicating to the recently victorious members of the Vinsea tribe that they need not advance. The sound of hooves grew louder, the ground quaking as if a colossal beast were charging toward them. Clop, 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 clop. The black stallion at the forefront had closed the distance to within 10 meters of Xavier. Yet he remained unmoved, his expression calm, as if the thundering steed were but an inconsequential bird. Well, except for the malak bird overhead. Behind him, the sounds of drawn blades echoed, while Dosa and Doya fixed their gaze on the man ahead, poised for action. Unexpectedly, however, the Horse King halted 5 meters away. He did not regard Xavier's countenance, but rather swept past him to stand beside Dosa and Doya, silently observing them. He lifted the curved blade but did not draw it, seemingly intending to tilt the girls' chins. "Should you dare to lift their beautiful chins, I shall surely sever your hand and eradicate your entire tribe." A calm voice, devoid of emotion, resonated from behind the Horse King. The king paused, a smile unexpectedly gracing his lips. Seizing this moment, Dosa and Doya regained their composure and trembled closer to Xavier's side. Xavier, I have heard of your deeds. You are formidable. I find you quite admirable. But how dare you speak to me in such a manner? A chilling aura accompanied by an endless cacophony of hoofbeats surged forth as thousands of warriors stood resolutely behind the Horse King, completely encircling Xavier and his mere dozen companions. You are the leader of Vincea, yet I am your greatest cow, the sole king of the prairie. Upon encountering me, should you not pay your respects? Xavier, unfazed, calmly responded. So, this is the reason you incite the cow cult, leading my tribe's warriors to forsake their leader while fervently pursuing you? He gently patted the backs of two fierce young women, signaling them to lower their blades and remain calm. Surveying the throng around him, Xavier wore a slight smile. Among the nearly 3,000-strong assembly, almost a third were unexpectedly warriors of the Bone King tribe. The leader of the Bone King tribe locked eyes with Xavier, and in that moment of mutual understanding, clarity dawned. It seemed this individual had made a decisive resolution. Furthermore, the leaders and warriors of the 7 great tribes had gathered. The Black Barbarian tribe boasted nearly 300 members, while the White Meow tribe numbered over 200. The Kelsite tribe had also sent over 300, likely due to the proximity of their tribal gathering grounds. As for the Flesh-Eating tribe, they had been entirely eradicated by him. Thus, when considering his own Vincea warriors, they were the least numerous, totaling only 30 to 40, including the Fallen. So, why should he harbor any fear? Chapter 21. Foreknowledge. After 90 arduous years of cultivation and comprehension, the King of Discs emerged from the realm of cosmic truths, establishing a path that was uniquely his own. At the moment his path was forged, he distinctly felt a torrent of understanding regarding the 3,000 principles surging forth, merging with the laws of the universe. His ancestor-esque conjecture proved correct. The great Luo Dao fruit, once entrusted to the world, granted him the privilege of immortality. However, this came at the cost of laboring for the world. He finally grasped why Hongjun, the Dao ancestor, was so fervently devoted to the merging of paths. The beings of a grand world aiding his cultivation would suffice to elevate him to an extraordinarily high realm in a remarkably short span. It was time to sever the ties to his original nature. Upon his enlightenment, the king discerned many truths of transcendence. The path of the mixed Yuan Great Luo Golden Immortal diverged sharply from that of the saint. The saint's path binds oneself to the cosmos. Existing in harmony with the grand way, the stronger the universe, the stronger the saint. In contrast, the mixed Yuan Great Luo Golden Immortal transcends the cosmos, severing all ties to the universe, drawing all power from within, free from the burdens of merit and karma. Should the universe perish, he would remain unscathed. Thus, to shatter the laws of the cosmos, one must first dismantle their innate essence. What the universe bestows is both creation and confinement, with a thunderous resonance. The king concentrated his spirit, manifesting a blade of mental energy before him. This blade radiated brilliance surpassing that of the sun. With a mere thought, the blade plunged into his own being, targeting the location of his innate poisonous essence. Since the heavenly Tao has deemed him unworthy of becoming a saint, he resolved to abandon its constraints and extricate himself from the primordial world, aspiring to become an indestructible Hanyuan de Luo Jingxian. With a single stroke, devoid of energy, he executed a mere ordinary slash that cleaved through the void and pierced into his very being, reaching the essence of innate myriad poisons. A surge of excruciating pain enveloped him, as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. A deafening roar echoed in his ears, and darkness engulfed his vision. The agony inflicted upon a Deluo immortal is unfathomable, illustrating the torment of severing one's own essence. Yet, the intensity of his suffering solidified the resolve within the Pan Wang. If he did not sever his essence, he would fall into the inescapable cycle predestined by the heavenly Tao. My fate shall be forged by my own hand, and my path shall be tread by my own feet. I am a Deluo Jingxian, transcending destiny. Even the heavens cannot dictate my fate. With a sudden, decisive strike of his spiritual blade, a resounding crack echoed as the essence of innate myriad poisons shattered within him. Thunder rumbled. In the void, the sound of dragon roars and flashes of lightning erupted, accompanied by rolling black clouds, manifesting an ominous sign of heavenly wrath. As if the heavens were condemning the audacity of Pan Wang, he paid no heed to it. Would the heavens truly be angered by such trivial matters? Countless Deluo cultivators have been shattered in the great calamity, yet none have witnessed the heavens' ire. This was merely a natural phenomenon produced by the heavens and earth, unrelated to the heavenly Tao. His current realm surpassed that of a Deluo Jingxian, having entered the fragmented Tao realm, with an understanding of heavenly will and the operations of the heavenly Tao a million times greater than before. Only those who tread the path of saints attain the quasi-saint realm, while he aimed for the Hunyuan Deluo Jinxian, thus placing his realm in the fragmented Tao realm. After losing the essence of innate myriad poisons, countless insights began to drift away from him, dissipating into crystalline light in the void. The myriad poisonous laws. The laws of life, and the laws of curses that he had cultivated over countless years gradually departed from him, returning to the cosmos. It became clear that the foundation of the innate great deity was the innate essence. Once that essence vanished, his own foundational path would inevitably be affected. In an instant, Pan Wang comprehended all this and could not help but smile. His path was indeed correct. A Deluo Jinxian ought to transcend time and space, to revel in eternity. If one were to anchor their foundational path upon the innate essence, at any moment the heavenly Tao could strip away their grand path if they fell out of favor. The evaporation of insights and laws caused his realm to regress, descending from the supreme fragmented Tao to the perfect Deluo Jinxian, and further downward still. At this rate, he might even fall beneath the Deluo Jinxian, reducing himself to a feeble Tai Jinxian ant. Nevertheless, Pan Wang remained undeterred, unwilling to allow the essence of innate myriad poisons to coalesce once more. If the path of the saint is akin to inheriting a family business, working for the family, then the Hunyuan Deluo Jinxian represents entrepreneurship. Having painstakingly shed all ties, would he accept the family's offerings and thus abandon his pursuit? A tremendous surge of magical power erupted from his being, growing increasingly ferocious. In but a moment, he transitioned from the supreme fragmented Tao to the early stages of the Deluo Jinxian, diminished to the utmost frailty. At this moment, it is evident that even the likes of Emperor Jun and Tai, let alone the 10 great demon lords, possess the strength to easily subdue him. One could assert that any great Luo Jinxian from the primordial realm could consign him to a state of eternal suffering, leaving him inescapably doomed. At the final moment, just as the Tao fruit of the great Luo was on the verge of dissipating, the regression of his realm came to an abrupt halt. Once tranquility enveloped the surroundings, Sovereign Pan felt an overwhelming weakness, unable to even move a single finger. He understood this to be merely an illusion of his diminished state. He remained an immortal, indestructible great Luo Jinxian, with boundless magical power. Even if he had fallen from the pinnacle of the Tao, becoming the weakest great Luo Jinxian in history, he would still retain the essence of the great Luo. He ventured forth to forge the great path, consolidating his origin. His form vanished from the Ling Tian Palace and entered the cosmos of the Divine Land, where he sought to reconstruct his origin and reforge his great path. After severing the innate source of myriad poisons, his feedback from the universe diminished by 90%, affirming that his intuition was once again correct. Following the departure of the cursed Tao ancestor, the 3,000 star domains were now devoid of a Tai Jinxian, alleviating the imminent crisis. All Jinxians were fervently dedicated to their cultivation, eager to claim the coveted position of the 3,000th Tai Jinxian. Sovereign Pan seized this opportune moment. As countless insights into the great path surged into his mind, aiding his cultivation, time flowed leisurely. In the blink of an eye, 1 billion years had elapsed. 1 billion years in the cosmos of the Divine Land equated to 330,000 years in the outside world. Sovereign Pan sat in meditation beneath the world tree, emanating an enigmatic radiance of the great Tao. This luminescence illuminated the past, penetrated the future, and even cast a long river of the great path behind him. At this juncture, his realm surpassed the great perfection of the great Luo Jinxian by immeasurable degrees, reaching a level of power that defied ordinary comprehension. Clearly, he had once again shattered the barrier of the great perfection of the great Luo Jinxian, entering the realm of fragmented Tao. However, he had yet to transcend the fragmented Tao. He had not comprehended his own method of severing the Tao, nor shattered the 3,000 laws to extract their power. Nonetheless, it was evident that even a great Luo Jinxian could not contend with him. The realm of fragmented Tao signifies a distinct stage, where cultivation merely reflects the magnitude of magical prowess, while the realm itself is the very source of all laws. The same magical power, expressed in the fragmented Tao, is as formidable as steel, whereas the great Luo Jinxians is akin to cotton. A kilogram of iron, though equal in weight to a kilogram of cotton, wields a force of an entirely different caliber when it strikes.